Testament of Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. The man of experience counsels against fornication and points out the ways in which men are most apt to fall into error. The copy of the Testament of Reuben, even the commands which he gave his sons before he died in the 125th year of his life. 2 years after the death of Joseph his brother, when Reuben fell ill, his sons and his sons' sons were gathered together to visit him. And he said to them, "My children, behold, I am dying, and go the way of my fathers." And seeing there Judah and Gad and Asher, his brethren, he said to them, "Raise me up, that I may tell to my brethren and to my children what things I have hidden in my heart, for behold, now at length I am passing away." And he arose and kissed them, and said unto them, "Hear, my brethren, and do ye, my children, give ear to Reuben your father, in the commands which I give unto you. And behold, I call to witness against you this day the God of heaven, that ye walk not in the sins of youth and fornication, wherein I was poured out, and defiled the bed of my father Jacob. And I tell you that he smote me with a sore plague in my loins for 7 months. And had not my father Jam prayed for me to the Lord would have destroyed me. For I was 30 years old when I wrought the evil thing before the Lord, and for 7 months I was sick unto death. And after this I repented with set purpose of my soul for 7 years before the Lord. And wine and strong drink I drank not, and flesh entered not into my mouth, and I ate no pleasant food, but I mourned over my sin, for it was great, such as had not been in Israel. And now hear me, my children, what things I saw concerning the 7 spirits of deceit, when I repented. 7 spirits therefore are appointed against man, and they are the leaders in the works of youth. And 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, that through them should be done every work of man. The first is the spirit of life, with which the constitution of man is created. The second is the sense of sight, with which ariseth desire. The third is the sense of hearing, with which cometh teaching. The fourth is the sense of smell, with which tastes are given to draw air and breath. The fifth is the power of speech, with which cometh knowledge. The sixth is the sense of taste, with which cometh the eating of meats and drinks, and by its strength is produced, for in food is the foundation of strength. The seventh is the power of procreation and sexual intercourse, with which through love of pleasure sins enter in. Wherefore it is the last in order of creation, and the first in that of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, and leadeth the youth as a blind man to a pit, and as a beast to a precipice. Besides all these there is an 8th spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature and the of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. First, the spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in the senses. The second, the spirit of insatiableness in the belly. The third, the spirit of fighting in the liver and gall. The fourth is the spirit of obsequiousness and chicanery, that through officious attention one may be fair and seeming. The fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant. The sixth is the spirit of lying, impertinent jealousy to practice deceits, and concealments from kindred and friends. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are thefts and acts of rapacity, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart, for injustice worketh together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts. And with all these the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy. And so perisheth every young man, darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of God, nor obeying the admonitions of his fathers, as befell me also in my youth. And now, my children, love the truth, and it will preserve you. Hear ye the words of Reuben your father. Pay no heed to the face of a woman, nor associate with another man's wife, nor meddle with affairs of womankind. For had I not seen Bilhah bathing in a covered place, I had not fallen into this great iniquity. For my mind, taking in the thought of the woman's nakedness, suffered me not to sleep, until I had wrought the abominable thing. For while Jacob our father had gone to Isaac his father, when we were in Eder, near to Ephrath in Bethlehem, Bilhah became drunk, and was asleep uncovered in her chamber. Having therefore gone in and beheld her nakedness, I wrought the impiety without her perceiving it, and leaving her sleeping departed. And forthwith an angel of God revealed to my father concerning my impiety, and he came and mourned over me, and touched her no more. Pay no heed therefore, my children, to the beauty of women, nor set your mind on their affairs, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of the Lord, and expend labor on good works, and on study, and on your flocks, until the Lord give you a wife whom he will, that ye suffer not as I did. For until my father's death I had not boldness to look in his face, or to speak to any of my brethren, because of the reproach, even until now my conscience causeth me anguish on account of my impiety. And yet my father comforted me much, and prayed for me unto the Lord, that the anger of the Lord might pass from me, even as the Lord showed. And thenceforth until now I have been on my guard and sinned not. Therefore, my children, I say unto you, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and ye shall not sin. For a pit unto the soul is the sin of fornication, separating it from God, and bringing it near to idols, because it deceiveth the mind and understanding, and leadeth down young men into Hades before their time. For many hath fornication destroyed, because though a man be old or noble or rich or poor, he bringeth reproach upon himself with the sons of men and derision with Satan. For ye heard regarding Joseph how he guarded himself from a woman, and purged his thoughts from all fornication, and found favor in the sight of God and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things unto him, and summoned magicians, and offered him love potions, but the purpose of his soul admitted no evil desire. Therefore the God of your fathers delivered him from every evil and hidden death. For if fornication overcomes not your mind, neither can Satan overcome you. For evil are women, my children, and since they have no power or strength over man, they use wiles by outward attractions, that they may draw him to themselves. And whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions, him they overcome by craft. For moreover, concerning them, the angel of the Lord told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, and in their heart they plot against men, and by means of their adornment they deceive first their minds, and by the glance of the eye instill the poison, and then through the accomplished act they take them captive. For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by a harlot's bearing she beguiles him. Flee therefore fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters, that they adorn not their heads and faces to deceive the mind, because every woman who useth these wiles hath been reserved for eternal punishment. For thus they allured the watchers one who were before the flood, for as these continually beheld them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind, for they changed themselves into the shape of men, and appeared to them when they were with their husbands. And the women lusting in their minds after their forms, gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching even unto heaven. Beware therefore of fornication, and if you wish to be pure in mind, guard your senses from every woman, and command the women likewise not to associate with men, that they also may be pure in mind. For constant meetings, even though the ungodly deed be not wrought, are to them an irremediable disease, and to us a destruction of Satan and an eternal reproach. For in fornication there is neither understanding nor godliness, and all jealousy dwelleth in the lust thereof. Therefore then I say unto you, you will be jealous against the sons of Levi, and will seek to be exalted over them, but ye shall not be able. For God will avenge them, and ye shall die by an evil death. For to Levi God gave the sovereignty, and to Judah with him, and to me also, and to Dan and Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore I command you to hearken to Levi, because he shall know the law of the Lord, and shall give ordinances for judgment, and shall sacrifice for all Israel until the consummation of the times, as the anointed high priest, of whom the Lord spake. I adjure you by the God of heaven to do truth each one unto his neighbor, and to entertain love each one for his brother, and draw ye near to Levi in humbleness of heart, that ye may receive a blessing from his mouth. For he shall bless Israel and Judah, because him hath the Lord chosen to be king over all the nation, and bow down before his seed, for on our behalf it will die in wars visible and invisible, and will be among you an eternal king. And Reuben died, having given these commands to his sons. And they placed him in a coffin until they carried him up from Egypt, and buried him in Hebron in the cave where his father was. Testament of Simeon, the second son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Simeon, the second son of Jacob and Leah. The strong man. He becomes jealous of Joseph and is an instigator of the plot against Joseph. The copy of the words of Simeon, the things which he spake to his sons before he died, in the 120th year of his life, at which time Joseph, his brother, died. For when Simeon was sick, his sons came to visit him. And he strengthened himself, and sat up and kissed them, and said, Hearken, my children, to Simeon your father, and I will declare unto you what things I have in my heart. I was born of Jacob as my father's second son, and my mother Leah called me Simeon, because the Lord had heard her prayer. Moreover, I became strong exceedingly. I shrank from no achievement, nor was I afraid of aught. For my heart was hard, and my liver was immovable, and my bowels without compassion. Because valor also has been given from the Most High to men in soul and body. For in the time of my youth I was jealous in many things of Joseph, because my father loved him beyond all. And I set my mind against him to destroy him, because the prince of deceit sent forth the spirit of jealousy and blinded my mind, so that I regarded him not as a brother, nor did I spare even Jacob my father. But his God and the God of his fathers sent forth his angel, and delivered him out of my hands. For when I went to Shechem to bring ointment for the flocks, and Reuben to Dothan, where were our necessaries and all our stores, Judah my brother sold him to the Ishmaelites. And when Reuben heard these things he was grieved, for he wished to restore him to his father. But on hearing this I was exceedingly wroth against Judah, in that he let him go away alive. And for 5 months I continued wrathful against him. But the Lord restrained me, and withheld from me the power of my hands, for my right hand was half withered for 7 days. And the first knew, my children, that because of Joseph this had befallen me, and I repented and wept. And I besought the Lord God that my hand might be restored, and that I might hold aloof from all pollution and envy and from all folly. For I knew that I had devised an evil thing before the Lord in Jacob my father, on account of Joseph my brother, in that I envied him. And now, my children, hearken unto me, and beware of the spirit of deceit and envy. For envy ruleth over the whole mind of a man, and suffereth him neither to eat nor to drink, nor to do any good thing. But it ever suggesteth to him to destroy him that he envieth, and so long as he that is envied flourisheth, he that envieth fadeth away. 2 years therefore I afflicted my soul with fasting and the fear of the Lord, and I learnt that deliverance from envy cometh by the fear of God. For if a man flee to the Lord, the evil spirit runneth away from him, and his mind is lightened. And henceforward he sympathizeth with him whom he envied, and forgiveth those who are hostile to him, and so ceaseth from his envy. Chapter 2. And my father asked concerning me, because he saw that I was sad. And I said unto him, I am pained in my liver, for I mourned more than they all, because I was guilty of the selling of Joseph. And when we went down into Egypt, and he bound me as a spy, I knew that I was suffering justly, and I grieved not. Now Joseph was a good man, and had the Spirit of God within him, being compassionate and pitiful. He bore no malice against me, but loved me even as the rest of his brethren. Beware, therefore, my children, of all jealousy and envy, and walk in singleness of heart, that God may give you also grace and glory, and bless upon your heads, even as you saw in Joseph's case. All his days he reproached us not concerning this thing, but loved us as his own soul, and beyond his own sons glorified us, and gave us riches, and cattle and fruits. Do ye also, my children, love each one his brother with a good heart, and the spirit of envy will withdraw from you. For this maketh savage the soul, and destroyeth the body. It causeth anger and war in the mind, and stirreth up unto deeds of blood, and leadeth the mind into frenzy, and causeth tumult to the soul, and trembling to the body. For even in sleep malicious jealousy gnaweth, and with wicked spirits disturbeth the soul, and causeth the body to be troubled, and waketh the mind from sleep and confusion. And as a wicked and poisonous spirit, so appeareth it to men. Therefore was Joseph comely in appearance, and goodly to look upon, because no wickedness dwelt in him. For some of the trouble of the spirit the face manifesteth. And now, my children, make your hearts good before the Lord, and your ways straight before men, and ye shall find grace before the Lord and men. Beware therefore of fornication, for fornication is mother of all evils, separating from God, and near to Beliar. For I have seen it inscribed in the writing of Enoch, that your sons shall be corrupted in fornication, and shall do harm to the sons of Levi with the sword. But they shall not be able to withstand Levi, for he shall wage the war of the Lord, and shall conquer all your hosts. And they shall be few in number, divided in Levi and Judah, and there shall be none of you for sovereignty, even as also our father prophesied in his blessings. Chapter 3. Behold, I have told you all things, that I may be acquitted of your sin. Now, if ye remove from you your envy and all stiff-neckedness, as a rose shall my bones flourish in Israel. And as a lily my flesh in Jacob, and my odor shall be as the odor of Libanus. And as cedars shall holy ones be multiplied from me forever, and their branches shall stretch afar off. Then shall perish the seed of Canaan, and a remnant shall not be unto Amalek, and all the Cappadocians shall perish, and all Hittites shall be utterly destroyed. Then shall fail the land of Ham, and all the people shall perish. Then shall all the earth rest from toil, and all the world under heaven from war. Then the mighty one of Israel shall glorify Shem. For the Lord God shall appear on earth, and himself save men. Then shall all the spirits of deceit be given to be trodden under foot, and men shall rule over wicked spirits. Then shall I arise in joy, and will bless the Most High because of his marvelous works, because God hath taken a body, and eaten with men, and saved men. And now, my children, and Judah, and obey Levi and Judah, and be not lifted up against these two tribes, for from them shall arise unto you the salvation of God. For the Lord shall raise up from Levi as it were a high priest, and from Judah as it were a king, God and man. He shall save all the Gentiles and the race of Israel. Therefore I give you these commands, ye also may command your children, that they may observe them throughout their generations. And when Simeon had made an end of commanding his sons, he slept with fathers, 120 years old. And they laid him in a wooden coffin, to take up his bones to Hebron. And they took them up secretly during a war of the Egyptians, for the bones of Joseph the Egyptians guarded in the tombs of the kings. For the sorcerers told them, that on the departure of the bones of Joseph, there should be throughout all the land darkness and gloom, and an exceeding great plague to the Egyptians, so that even with a lamp a man should not recognize his brother. And the sons of Simeon bewailed their father, and they were in Egypt until the day of their departure by the hand of Moses. Testament of Levi, the third son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Levi, the third son of Jacob and Leah, a mystic and dreamer of dreams, a prophet, the copy of the words of Levi, the things which he ordained unto his sons, according to all that they should do, and what things should befall them until the day of judgment. He was sound in health when he called them to him, for it had been revealed to him that he should die. And when they were gathered together, he said to them, I, Levi, was born Haran, and I came with my father to Shechem. And I was young, about 20 years of age, when, with Simeon, I wrought vengeance on Hamor for our sister Dinah. And when I was feeding the flocks in Abel Mall, the spirit of understand of the Lord came upon me, and I saw all men corrupting their way, and that unrighteousness had built for itself walls, and lawlessness sat upon towers. And I was grieving for the race of the sons of men, and I prayed to the Lord that I might be saved. Then there fell upon me a sleep. I beheld a high mountain, and I was upon it. And behold, the heavens were opened, and an angel of God said to me, Levi, enter. And I entered from the first heaven, and I saw there a great sea hanging. And further I saw a second heaven far brighter and more brilliant, for there was a boundless light also therein. And I said to the angel, Why is this so? And the angel said to me, Marvel not at this, for thou shalt see another heaven more brilliant and incomparable. And when thou hast ascended thither, thou shalt stand near the Lord, and shalt be his minister, and shalt declare his mysteries to men, and shalt proclaim concerning him that shall redeem Israel. And by thee and Judah shall the Lord appear among men, saving every race of men. And from the Lord's portion shall be thy life, and he shall be thy field and vineyard, and fruits, gold and silver. Hear therefore regarding the heavens which have been shown to thee. The lowest is for this cause gloomy unto thee, in that it beholds all the unrighteous deeds of men. And it has fire, snow, and ice made ready for the day of judgment, in the righteous judgment of God, for in it are all the spirits of the retributions for vengeance on men. And in the second are the hosts of the armies which are ordained for the day of judgment, to work vengeance on the spirits of deceit and of Beliar, and above them are the holy ones. And in the highest of all dwelleth the great glory, far above all holiness. In the heaven next to it are the archangels, who minister and make propitiation to the Lord for all the sins of ignorance of the righteous, offering to the Lord a sweet-smelling savor, a reasonable and a bloodless offering. And in the heaven below this are the angels who bear answers to the angels of the presence of the Lord. And in the heaven next to this are thrones and dominions, in which always they offer praise to God. When therefore the Lord looketh upon us, all of us are shaken. Yea, the heavens and the earth and the abysses are shaken at the presence of his majesty. But the sons of men, having no perception of these things, sin and provoke the Most High. Chapter 2. Now therefore know that the Lord shall execute judgment upon the sons of men, because when the rocks are being rent, and the sun quenched, and the waters dried up, and the fire cowering, and all creation troubled, and the invisible spirits melting away, and Hades taketh spoils through the visitations of the Most High, men will be unbelieving and persist in their iniquity. On this account with punishment shall they be judged. Therefore the Most High hath heard thy prayer to separate thee from iniquity, and that thou shouldst become to him a son, and a servant, and a minister of his presence. The light of knowledge shalt thou light up in Jacob, and as the sun shalt thou be to all the seed of Israel. And there shall be given to thee a blessing, and to all thy seed, until the Lord shall visit all the Gentiles in his tender mercies forever. And therefore there have been given to thee counsel and understanding, that thou mightest instruct thy sons concerning this, because they that bless him shall be blessed, and they that curse him shall perish. And thereupon the angel opened to me the gates of heaven, and I saw the holy temple, and upon a throne of glory the Most High. And he said to me, Levi, I have given thee the blessing of the priesthood until I come and sojourn in the midst of Israel. Then the angel brought me down to the earth, and gave me a shield and a sword, and said to me, Execute vengeance on Shechem because of Dinah thy sister, and I will be with thee, because the Lord hath sent me. And I destroyed at that time the sons of Hamor, as it is written in the heavenly tables. And I said to him, I pray thee, O Lord, tell me thy name, that I may call upon thee in a day of tribulation. And he said, I am the angel who intercedeth for the nation of Israel, that they may not be smitten utterly, for every evil spirit attacketh it. And after these things I awaked, and blessed the Most High, and the angel who intercedeth for the nation of Israel, and for all the righteous. Chapter 3. And when I was going to my father, I found a brazen shield, wherefore also the name of the mountain is Aspis, which is near Gebal, to the south of Abila. And I kept these words in my heart. And after this I counseled my father, and Reuben my brother, to bid the sons of Hamor not to be circumcised, for I was zealous because of the abomination which they had wrought on my sister. And I slew Shechem first, and Simeon slew Hamor. And after this my brothers came and smote that city with the edge of the sword. And my father heard these things and was wroth, and he was grieved in that they had received the circumcision, and after that had been put to death. And in his blessings he looked amiss upon us. For we sinned because we had done this thing against his will, and he was sick on that day. But I saw that the sentence of God was for evil upon Shechem, for they sought to do to Sarah and Rebekah as they had done to Dinah our sister, but the Lord prevented them. And they persecuted Abraham our father when he was a stranger, and they vexed his flocks when they were big with young, and Iblain, who was born in his house, they most shamefully handled. And thus they did to all strangers, taking away their wives by force, and they banished them. But the wrath of the Lord came upon them to the uttermost. And I said to my father Jacob, By thee will the Lord despoil the Canaanites, and will give their land to thee, and to thy seed after thee. For from this day forward shall Shechem be called a city of imbeciles. For as a man mocketh a fool, so did we mock them. because also they had wrought folly in Israel by defiling my sister. And we departed and came to Bethel. And there again I saw a vision as the former, after we had spent there 70 days. And I saw 7 men in white raiment, saying unto me, Arise, put on the robe of the priesthood, and the crown of righteousness, and the breastplate of understanding, and the garment of truth, and the lade of faith, and the turban of the head, and the ephod of prophecy. And they severally carried these things and put them on me, and said unto me, From henceforth become a priest of the Lord, thou and thy seed forever. And the first anointed me with holy oil, and gave to me the staff of judgment. The second washed me with pure water, and fed me with bread and wine, even the most holy things, and clad me with a holy and glorious robe. The third clothed me with a linen vestment like an ephod. The fourth put round me a girdle like unto purple. The fifth gave me a branch of rich olive. The sixth placed a crown on my head. The seventh placed on my head a diadem of priesthood, and filled my hands with incense, that I might serve as priest to the Lord God. And they said to me, Levi, thy seed shall be divided into 3 offices, for a sign of the glory of the Lord who is to come. And the first portion shall be great, yea, greater than it shall none be. The second shall be in the priesthood, and the third shall be called by a new name, because a king shall arise in Judah, and shall establish a new priesthood, after the fashion of the Gentiles. And his presence is beloved, as a prophet of the Most High, of the seed of Abraham our father. Therefore every desirable thing in Israel shall be for thee and for thy seed, and ye shall eat everything fair to look upon, and the table of the Lord shall thy seed apportion. And some of them shall be high priests, and judges, and scribes, for by their mouth shall the holy place be guarded. And when I awoke, I understood that this dream was like the first dream. And I hid this also in my heart, and told it not to any man upon the earth. And after 2 days I and Judah went up with our father Jacob to Isaac our father's father. And my father's father blessed me according to all the words of the visions which I had seen. And he would not come with us to Bethel. And when we came to Bethel, my father saw a vision concerning me, that I should be their priest unto God. And he rose up early in the morning, and paid tithes of all to the Lord through me. And so we came to Hebron to dwell there. And Isaac called me continually to put me in remembrance of the law of the Lord, even as the angel of the Lord showed unto me. And he taught me the law of the priesthood of sacrifices, whole burnt offerings, first fruits, freewill offerings, peace offerings. And each day he was instructing me, and was busied on my behalf before the Lord, and said to me, Beware of the spirit of fornication, for this shall continue and shall by thy seed pollute the holy place. Take therefore to thyself a wife without blemish or pollution, while yet thou art young, and not of the race of strange nations. And before entering into the holy place, bathe, and when thou offerest the sacrifice, wash, and again, when thou finishest the sacrifice, wash. Of 12 trees having leaves offer to the Lord, as Abraham taught me also. And of every clean beast and bird offer a sacrifice to the Lord. And of all thy first fruits and of wine offer the first, as a sacrifice to the Lord God. And every sacrifice thou shalt salt with salt. Now, therefore, observe whatsoever I command you, children. For whatsoever things I have heard from my fathers I have declared unto you. And behold, I am clear from your ungodliness and transgression, which ye shall commit in the end of the ages against the Savior of the world, Christ, acting godlessly, deceiving Israel, and stirring up against it great evils from the Lord. And ye shall deal lawlessly together with Israel, so he shall not bear with Jerusalem because of your wickedness. But the veil of the temple shall be rent, so as not to cover your shame. And ye shall be scattered as captives among the Gentiles, and shall be for a reproach, and for a curse there. For the house which the Lord shall choose shall be called Jerusalem, as is contained in the book of Enoch the righteous. Therefore, when I took a wife, I was 28 years old, and her name was Melcha, and she conceived and bare a son. And I called his name Gershom, for we were sojourners in our land. And I saw concerning him that he would not be in the first rank. And Kohath was born in the 35th year of my life, towards sunrise. And I saw in a vision that he was standing on high in the midst of all the congregation. Therefore I called his name Kohath, which is beginning of majesty and instruction. And she bare me a third son, in the 40th year of my life, and since his mother bare him with difficulty, I called him Merari, that is, my bitterness, because he also was like to die. And Jochebed was born in Egypt in my 64th year, for I was renowned then in the midst of my brethren. And Gersom took a wife, and she bare to him Lamni and Semi. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, Issachar, Hebron, and Oziel. And the sons of Merari, Muli, and Mouses. And in the 94th year Amram took Jochebed my daughter to him to wife, for they were born in one day, he and my daughter. 8 years old was I when I went into the land of Canaan, and 18 years when I slew Shechem, and at 19 years I became priest, and at 28 years I took a wife, and at 48 I went into Egypt. And behold, my children, ye are a third generation. In my 118th year Joseph died. Chapter 4. And now, my children, I command you, fear the Lord your God with your whole heart, and walk in simplicity according to all his law. And do ye also teach your children letters, that they may have understanding all their life, reading unceasingly the law of God. For everyone that knoweth the law of the Lord shall be honored, and shall not be a stranger whithersoever he goeth. Yea, many friends shall he gain more than his parents, and many men shall desire to serve him, and to hear the law from his mouth. Work righteousness therefore, my children, upon the earth, that ye may have it as a treasure in heaven. And sow good things in your souls, that ye may find them in your life. But if ye sow evil things, ye shall reap every trouble and affliction. Get wisdom in the fear of God with diligence. For though there be a leading into captivity, and cities and lands be destroyed, and gold and silver and every possession perish, the wisdom of the wise naught can take away, save the blindness of ungodliness, and the callousness that comes of sin. For if one keep oneself from these evil things, then even among his enemies shall wisdom be a glory to him, and in a strange country a fatherland, and in the midst of foes shall prove a friend. Whosoever teaches noble things and does them, shall be enthroned with kings, as was also Joseph my brother. Therefore, my children, I have learnt that at the end of the ages you will transgress against the Lord, stretching out hands to wickedness against him, and to all the Gentiles shall ye become a scorn. For our father Israel is purer from the transgressions of the chief priests. For as the heaven is purer in the Lord's sight than the earth, so also be ye, the lights of Israel, purer than all the Gentiles. But if you be darkened through transgressions, what therefore will all the Gentiles do, living in blindness? Yea, ye shall bring a curse upon our race, because the light of the law which was given for to lighten every man does he desire to destroy by teaching commandments contrary to the ordinances of God. The offerings of the Lord ye shall rob, and from his portion shall ye steal choice portions, eating them contemptuously with harlots. And out of covetousness ye shall teach the commandments of the Lord. Wedded women shall ye pollute, and the virgins of Jerusalem shall ye defile, and with harlots and adulteresses shall ye be joined, and the daughters of the Gentiles shall ye take to wife, purifying them with an unlawful purification, and your union shall be like unto Sodom and Gomorrah. And you shall be puffed up because of your priesthood, lifting yourselves up against men, and not only so, but also against the commands of God. For ye shall contemn the holy things with jests and laughter. Therefore the temple, which the Lord shall choose, shall be laid waste through your uncleanness, and ye shall be captives throughout all nations. And ye shall be an abomination unto them, and ye shall receive reproach and everlasting shame from the righteous judgment of God. And all who hate you shall rejoice at your destruction. And if you were not to receive mercy through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers, not one of our seed should be left upon the earth. And now I have learnt that for 70 weeks ye shall go astray, and profane the priesthood, and pollute the sacrifices. And ye shall make void the law, and set at naught the words of the prophets by evil perverseness. And ye shall persecute righteous men, and hate the godly. The words of the faithful shall ye abhor, and a man who reneweth the law in the power of the Most High ye shall call a deceiver, and at last ye shall rush upon him to slay him, not knowing his dignity, taking innocent blood through wickedness upon your heads. And your holy places shall be laid waste even to the ground because of him. And ye shall have no place that is clean, But ye shall be among the Gentiles a curse and a dispersion, until he shall again visit you, and in pity shall receive you through faith and water. Chapter 5. And whereas ye have heard concerning the 70 weeks, hear also concerning the priesthood. For in each jubilee there shall be a priesthood. And in the first jubilee, the first who is anointed to the priesthood shall be great, and shall speak to God as to a father. And his priesthood shall be perfect with the Lord, and in the day of his gladness shall he arise for the salvation of the world. In the second jubilee, he that is anointed shall be conceived in the sorrow of beloved ones, and his priesthood shall be honored and shall be glorified by all. And the third priest shall he taken hold of by sorrow, and the fourth shall be in pain, because unrighteousness shall gather itself against him exceedingly, and all Israel shall hate each one his neighbor. The fifth shall be taken hold of by darkness. Likewise also the sixth and the seventh, and in the seventh shall be such pollution as I cannot express before men, for they shall know it who do these things. Therefore shall they be taken captive, and become a prey, and their land and their substance shall be destroyed. And in the 5th week they shall return to their desolate country, and shall renew the house of the Lord. And in the 7th week shall become priests, who are idolaters, adulterers, lovers of money, proud, lawless, lascivious, abusers of children and beasts. And after their punishment shall have come from the Lord, the priesthood shall fail. Then shall the Lord raise up a new priest, and to him all the words of the Lord shall be revealed, and he shall execute a righteous judgment upon the earth for a multitude of days. And his star shall arise in heaven as of a king, lighting up the light of knowledge as the sun the day, and he shall be magnified in the world. He shall shine forth as the sun on the earth, and shall remove all darkness from under heaven, and there shall be peace in all the earth. The heavens shall exult in his days, and the earth shall be glad, and the clouds shall rejoice. And the knowledge of the Lord shall be poured forth upon the earth, as the water of the seas. And the angels of the glory of the presence of the Lord shall be glad in him. The heavens shall be opened, and from the temple of glory shall come upon him sanctification, with the Father's voice, as from Abraham to Isaac. And the glory of the Most High shall be uttered over him, and a spirit of understanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water. For he shall give the majesty of the Lord to his sons in truth forevermore, and there shall none succeed him for all generations forever. And in his priesthood the Gentiles shall be multiplied in knowledge upon the earth, and enlightened through the grace of the Lord. In his priesthood shall sin come to an end, and the lawless shall cease to do evil. And he shall open the gates of paradise, and shall remove the threatening sword against Adam, and he shall give to the saints to eat from the tree of life, and the spirit of holiness shall be on them. And Satan shall be bound by him, and he shall give power to his children to tread upon the evil spirits. And the Lord shall rejoice in his children, and be well pleased in his beloved ones forever. Then shall Abraham and Isaac and Jacob exult, and I will be glad, and all the saints shall clothe themselves with joy. And now, my children, ye have heard all. Choose therefore for yourselves either the light or the darkness, either the law of the Lord or the works of Beliar. And his sons answered him, saying, Before the Lord we will walk according to his law. And their father said unto them, The Lord is witness, and his angels are witnesses, and ye are witnesses, and I am witness, concerning the word of your mouth. And his sons said unto him, We are witnesses. And thus Levi ceased commanding his sons, and he stretched out his feet on the bed, and was gathered to his fathers, after he had lived 137 years, and they laid him in a coffin, and afterwards they buried him in Hebron, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Testament of Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Judah, the fourth son of Jacob and Leah. He is the giant, athlete, warrior. He recounts heroic deeds. He runs so fast that he can outstrip a hind. The copy of the words of Judah, what things he spake to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him, and he said to them, Hearken, my children, to Judah your father. I was the fourth son born to my father Jacob, and Leah my mother named me Judah, saying, I give thanks to the Lord, because he hath given me a fourth son also. I was swift in my youth, and obedient to my father in everything, and I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came to pass, when I became a man, that my father blessed me, saying, Thou shalt be a king, prospering in all things. And the Lord showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I raced a hind and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. And the roes I used to master in the chase, and overtake all that was in the plains. A wild mare I overtook, and caught it, and tamed it. I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of its mouth. I took a bear by its paw, and hurled it down the cliff, and it was crushed. I outran the wild boar, and seizing it as I ran, I tore it in sunder. A leopard in Hebron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail, and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in twain. I found a wild ox feeding in the fields, and seizing it by the horns, and whirling it round and stunning it, I cast it from me, and slew it. And when the 2 kings of the Canaanites came sheathed, in armor against our flocks, and much people with them, single-handed I rushed upon the king of Hazor, and smote him on the greaves, and dragged him down, and so I slew him. And the other, the king of Tappuah, as he sat upon his horse, I slew, and I scattered all his people. Acre, the king, a man of giant stature, I found, hurling javelins before and behind as he sat on horseback, and I took up a stone of 60 pounds weight, and hurled it, and smote his horse, and killed it. And I fought with this other for 2 hours, and I clave his shield in twain, and I chopped off his feet, and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men his companions began to fight with me. And I wound my garment on my hand, and I slung stones at them, and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Jacob my father slew Beelsath, king of all the kings, a giant in strength, 12 cubits high, and fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Therefore my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren. For he saw in a vision concerning me that an angel of might followed me everywhere, that I should not be overcome. And in the south there came upon us a greater war than that in Shechem, and I joined in battle array with my brethren, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men and 4 kings. And I went up upon the wall, and I slew 4 mighty men. And so we captured Hazor and took all the spoil. And the next day we departed to Araton, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gad approached on the east side of the city, and Reuben and Levi on the west. And they that were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone, were drawn down against us. And so my brothers secretly climbed up the wall on both sides by stakes, and entered the city, while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. And as for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower, and took both it and them. And as we were departing, the men of Tappuah seized our spoil, and seeing this, we fought with them. And we slew them all, and recovered our spoil. And when I was at the waters of Kozeba, the men of Jobel came against us to battle. And we fought with them, and routed them, and their allies from Shiloh we slew. And we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Machir came upon us the 5th day, to seize our spoil, and we attacked them, and overcame them in fierce battle, for there was a host of mighty men amongst them. And we slew them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rolled upon us stones from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. And I and Simeon had ourselves behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed this city also. And the next day it was told us that the king of the city of Gashwith, a mighty host, was coming against us. I therefore and Dan feigned ourselves to be Amorites, and as allies went into their city. And in the depth of night our brethren came, and we opened to them the gates, and we destroyed all the men and their substance, and we took for a prey all that was theirs, and their 3 walls we cast down. And we drew near to Thamnah, where was all the substance of the hostile kings. Then being insulted by them, I was therefore wroth, and rushed against them to the summit, and they kept slinging against me stones and darts. And had not Dan my brother aided me, they would have slain me. We came upon them therefore with wrath, and they all fled, and passing by another way, they fought my father, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt, and they became tributary to us, and we restored to them their spoil. And I built Thamnah, and my father built Pabael. I was 20 years old when this war befell. And the Canaanites feared me and my brethren, and I had much cattle, and I had for chief herdsman Iram the Adullamite. And when I went to him, I saw Parsaba, king of Adullam, and he spake unto us, and he made us a feast. And when I was heated, he gave me his daughter Bathshua to wife. She bare me and Onan and Shelah, and 2 of them the Lord smote. For Shelah lived, and his children are ye. Chapter 2. And 18 years my father abode in peace with his brother Esau, and his sons with us. After that we came from Mesopotamia from Laban. And when 18 years were fulfilled, in the 40th year of my life, Esau, the brother of my father, came upon us with a mighty and strong people. And Jacob smote Esau with an arrow, and he was taken up wounded on Mount Seir, and as he went he died at Anonarum, and we pursued after the sons of Esau. Now they had a city with walls of iron and gates of brass, and we could not enter into it, and we encamped around, and besieged it. And when they opened not to us in 20 days, I set up a ladder in the sight of all, and with my shield upon my head I went up, sustaining the assault of stones, upwards of 3 talents weight, and I slew 4 of their mighty men, and Reuben and Gad slew 6 others. Then they asked from us terms of peace, and having taken counsel with our father, we received them as tributaries, and they gave us 500 cores of wheat, 500 baths of oil, 500 measures of wine, until the famine, when we went down into Egypt. And after these things my son Ar took to wife Tamar from Mesopotamia, a daughter of Aram. Now Er was wicked, and he was in need concerning Tamar, because she was not of the land of Canaan. And on the 3rd night an angel of the Lord smote him. And he had not known her, according to the evil craftiness of his mother, for he did not wish to have children by her. In the days of the wedding feast, I gave Onan to her in marriage, and he also in wickedness knew her not, though he spent with her a year. And when I threatened him, he went in unto her, but he spilled the seed on the ground, according to the command of his mother, and he also died through wickedness. And I wished to give Shelah also to her, but his mother did not permit it, for she wrought evil against Tamar, because she was not the daughters of Canaan, as she also herself was. And I knew that the race of the Canaanites was wicked, but the impulse of youth blinded my mind. And when I saw her pouring out wine, owing to the intoxication of wine I received, and took her, although my father had not counseled it. And while I was away she went and took for Shelah a wife from Canaan, and when I knew what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my soul. And she also died through her wickedness together with her sons. And after these things, while Tamar was a widow, she heard after 2 years that I was going up to shear my sheep, and adorned herself in bridal array, and sat in the city Enaim by the gate. For it was a law of the Amorites, that she who was about to marry should sit in fornication 7 days by the gate. Therefore, being drunk with wine, I did not recognize her, and her beauty deceived me through the fashion of her adorning. And I turned aside to her and said, Let me go in unto thee. And she said, What wilt thou give me? And I gave her my staff, and my girdle, and the diadem of my kingdom in pledge. And I went in unto her, and she conceived. And not knowing what I had done, I wished to slay her, but she privily sent my pledges and put me to shame. And when I called her, I heard also the secret words which I spoke when lying with her in my drunkenness, and I could not slay her, because it was from the Lord. For I said, Lest haply she did it in subtlety, having received the pledge from another woman. But I came not again near her while I lived, because I had done this abomination in all Israel. Moreover, they who were in the city said there was no harlot in the gate, because she came from another place, and sat for a while in the gate. And I thought that no one knew that I had gone into her. And after this we came into Egypt to Joseph, because of the famine. And I was 46 years old, and 73 years lived I in Egypt. Chapter 3. And now I command you, my children, hearken to Judah your father, and keep my sayings, to perform all the ordinances of the Lord, and to obey the commands of God. And walk not after your lusts, nor in the imaginations of your thoughts in haughtiness of heart, and glory not in the deeds and strength of your youth, for this also is evil in the eyes of the Lord. Since I also gloried that in wars no comely woman's face ever enticed me, and reproved Reuben my brother concerning Bilhah, the wife of my father, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me, until I lay with Bathshua the Canaanite, and Tamar, who was espoused to my sons. For I said to my father-in-law, I will take counsel with my father, and so will I take thy daughter. And he was unwilling, but he showed me a boundless store of gold in his daughter's behalf, for B was a king. And he adorned her with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast with the beauty of women. And the wine turned aside my eyes, and pleasure blinded my heart. And I became enamored of, and I lay with her, and transgressed the commandment of the Lord and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to wife. And the Lord rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, inasmuch as I had no joy in her children. And now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine, for wine turneth the mind away from the truth, and inspires the passion of lust, and leadeth the eyes into error. For the spirit of fornication hath wine as a minister to give pleasure to the mind, for these two also take away the mind of man. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness, it disturbeth the mind with filthy thoughts leading to fornication, and headeth the body to carnal union, and if the occasion of the lust be present, he worketh the sin, and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children, for he who is drunken reverenceth no man. For lo, it made me also to err, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, in that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and I wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I had drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of God, and I took a woman of Canaan to wife. For much discretion needeth the man who drinketh wine, my children, and herein is discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserveth modesty, but if he go beyond this limit, the spirit of deceit attacketh his mind, and it maketh the drunkard to talk filthily, and to transgress, and not to be ashamed, but even to glory in his shame, and to account himself honorable. He that committeth fornication is not aware when he suffers loss, and is not ashamed when put to dishonor. For even though a man be a king and commit fornication, he is stripped of his kingship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. For I gave my staff, that is, the stay of my tribe, and my girdle, that is, my power, and my diadem, that is, the glory of my kingdom. And indeed I repented of these things. Wine and flesh I eat not until my old age, nor did I behold any joy. And the angel of God showed me that forever do women bear rule, O king and beggar alike. And from the king they take away his glory, and from the valiant man his might, and from the beggar even that little which is the stay of his poverty. Observe therefore, my children, the right limit in wine, for there are in it 4 evil spirits, of lust, of hot desire, of profligacy, of filthy lucre. If ye drink wine in gladness, be ye modest in the fear of God. For if in your gladness the fear of God departeth, then drunkenness ariseth, and shamelessness stealeth in. But if ye would live soberly, do not touch wine at all, lest ye sin in words of outrage, and in fightings and slanders, and transgressions of the commandments of God, and ye perish before your time. Moreover, wine revealeth the mysteries of God and men, even as I also revealed the commandments of God, and the mysteries of Jacob my father to the Canaanitish woman Bathshua, which God bade me not to reveal. And wine is a cause both of war and confusion. And now I command you, my children, not to love money, nor to gaze upon the beauty of women, because for the sake of money and beauty I was led astray to Bathshua the Canaanite. For I know that because of these 2 things shall my race fall into wickedness. For even wise men among my sons shall they mar, and shall cause the kingdom of Judah to be diminished, which the Lord gave me because of my obedience to my father. For I never caused grief to Jacob my father, for all things whatsoever he commanded I did. And Isaac, the father of my father, blessed me to be king in Israel, And Jacob further blessed me in like manner. And I know that from me shall the kingdom be established. And I know what evils you will do in the last days. Beware therefore, my children, of fornication and the love of money, and hearken to Judah your father. For these things withdraw you from the law of God, and blind the inclination of the soul, and teach arrogance, and suffer not a man to have compassion upon his neighbor. They rob his soul of all goodness, and oppress him with toils and troubles, and drive away sleep from him, and devour his flesh. And he hindereth the sacrifices of God, and he remembereth not the blessing of God. He hearkeneth not to a prophet when he speaketh, and resenteth the words of godliness. For he is a slave to two contrary passions, and cannot obey God, because they have blinded his soul, and he walketh in the day as in the night. My children, the love of money leadeth to idolatry, because when led astray through money, men name as gods those who are not gods, and it causeth him who hath it to fall into madness. For the sake of money I lost my children, and had not my repentance, and my humiliation, and the prayers of my father been accepted, I should have died childless. But the God of my fathers had mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance. And the prince of deceit blinded me, and I sinned as a man and as flesh, being corrupted through sins, and I learnt my own weakness while thinking myself invincible. Know therefore, my children, that two spirits wait upon man, the spirit of truth and the spirit of deceit. And in the midst is the spirit of understanding of the mind, to which it belongeth to turn whithersoever it will. And the works of truth and the works of deceit are written upon the hearts of men, and each one of them the Lord knoweth. And there is no time at which the works of men can be hid, for on the heart itself have they been written down before the Lord. And the spirit of truth testifieth all things, and accuseth all. And the sinner is burnt up by his own heart, and cannot raise his face to the judge. Chapter 4. And now, my children, I command you, love Levi, that he may abide, and exalt not yourselves against him, lest ye be utterly destroyed. For to me the Lord gave the kingdom, and to him the priesthood, and he set the kingdom beneath the priesthood. To me he gave things upon the earth, to him the things in the heavens. As the heaven is higher than the earth, so is the priesthood of God higher than the earthly kingdom, unless it falls away through sin from the Lord, and is dominated by the earthly kingdom. For the angel of the Lord said unto me, The Lord chose him rather than thee, to draw near to him, and to eat of his table, and offer him the first fruits of the choice things of the sons of Israel. But thou shalt be king of Jacob, and thou shalt be amongst them as the sea. For as, on the sea, just and unjust are tossed about, some taken into captivity while some are enriched, so also shall every race of men be in thee. Some shall be impoverished, being taken captive, and others grow rich by plundering the possessions of others. For the kings shall be as sea monsters. They shall swallow men like fishes. The sons and daughters of freemen shall they enslave. Houses, lands, flocks, money shall they plunder. And with the flesh of many shall they wrongfully feed the ravens and the cranes, and they shall advance in evil and covetousness uplifted. And there shall be false prophets like tempest, and they shall persecute all righteous men. And the Lord shall bring upon them divisions one against another. And there shall be continual wars in Israel, and among men of another race shall my kingdom be brought to an end, until the salvation of Israel shall come, until the appearing of the God of righteousness, that Jacob and all the Gentiles may rest in peace, and he shall guard the might of the kingdom forever. For the Lord aware to me with an oath that he would not destroy the kingdom from my seed forever. Now I have much grief, my children, because of your lewdness and witchcrafts and idolatries which ye shall practice against the kingdom, following them that have familiar spirits, diviners, and demons of error. Ye shall make your daughters singing girls and harlots, and ye shall mingle in the abominations of the Gentiles, for which things' sake the Lord shall bring upon you famine and pestilence, death and the sword, beleaguering by enemies, and revilings of friends, the slaughter of children, the rape of wives, the plundering of possessions, the burning of the temple of God, the laying waste of the land, the enslavement of yourselves among the Gentiles. And they shall make some of you eunuchs for their wives, until the Lord visit you, when with perfect heart you repent and walk in all his commandments, and he bring you up from captivity among the Gentiles. And after these things shall a star arise to you from Jacob in peace, and a man shall arise from my seed like the Son of Righteousness, walking with the sons of men in meekness and righteousness, and no sin shall be found in him. And the heavens shall be opened unto him, to pour out the Spirit, even the blessing of the Holy Father, and he shall pour out the Spirit of grace upon you, and ye shall be unto him sons in truth, and ye shall walk in his commandments first and last. Then shall the scepter of my kingdom shine forth, and from your root shall arise a stem, and from it shall grow a rod of righteousness to the Gentiles, to judge and to save all that call upon the Lord. And after these things shall Abraham and Isaac and Jacob arise unto life, and I and my brethren shall be chiefs of the tribes of Israel. Levi first, I the second, Joseph third, Benjamin fourth, Simeon fifth, Issachar sixth, and so all in order. And the Lord blessed Levi, and the angel of the presence, me, the powers of glory, Simeon, the heaven, Reuben, the earth, Issachar, the sea, Zebulun, the mountains, Joseph, the tabernacle, Benjamin, the luminaries, Dan, Eden, Naphtali, the sun, Gad, the moon, Asher. And ye shall be the people of the Lord, and have one tongue, and there shall be there no spirit of deceit of Beliar, for he shall be cast into the fire forever. And they who have died in grief shall arise in joy, and they who were poor for the Lord's sake shall be made rich, and they who are put to death for the Lord's sake shall awake to life. And the hearts of Jacob shall run in joyfulness, and the eagles of Israel shall fly in gladness, and all the people shall glorify the Lord forever. Observe, therefore, my children, all the law of the Lord, for there is hope for all them who hold fast unto his ways. And he said to them, Behold, I die before your eyes this day, 119 years old. Let no one bury me in costly apparel, nor tear open my bowels, for this shall they who are kings do, and carry me up to Hebron with you. And Judah, when he had said these things, fell asleep, and his sons did according to all whatsoever he commanded them. And they buried him in Hebron with his fathers. The Testament of Issachar, the fifth son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Issachar, the fifth son of Jacob and Leah, the sinless child of hire for mandrakes. He appeals for simplicity. The copy of the words of Issachar. For he called his sons and said to them, Hearken, my children, to Issachar your father, give ear to the words of him who is beloved of the Lord. I was born the fifth son to Jacob, by way of hire for the mandrakes. For Reuben my brother brought in mandrakes from the field, and Rachel met him, and took them. And Reuben wept, and at his voice Leah my mother came forth. Now these mandrakes were sweet-smelling apples, which were produced in the land of Haran below a ravine of water. And Rachel said, I will not give them to thee, but they shall be to me instead of children. For the Lord hath despised me, and I have not borne children to Jacob. Now there were 2 apples, and Leah said to Rachel, Let it suffice thee that thou hast taken my husband, wilt thou take these also? And Rachel said to her, Thou shalt have Jacob this night for the mandrakes of thy son. And Leah said to her, Jacob is mine, for I am the wife of his youth. But Rachel said, Boast not, and vaunt not thyself, for he espoused me before thee, and for my sake he served our father 14 years. And had not craft increased on the earth, and the wickedness of men prospered, thou wouldst not now see the face of Jacob. For thou art not his wife, but in craft wert taken to him in my stead. And my father deceived me, and removed me on that night, and did not suffer Jacob to see me. For had I been there, this had not happened to him. Nevertheless, for the mandrakes I am hiring Jacob to thee for one night. And Jacob knew Leah, and she conceived and bare me, and on account of the hire I was called Issachar. Then appeared to Jacob an angel of the Lord, saying, 2 children shall Rachel bear, inasmuch as she hath refused company with her husband, and hath chosen continency. And had not Leah my mother paid the 2 apples for the sake of his company, she would have borne 8 sons. For this reason she bare 6, and Rachel bare the 2, For on account of the mandrakes the Lord visited her. For he knew that for the sake of children she wished to company with Jacob, and not for lust of pleasure. For on the morrow also she again gave up Jacob. Because of the mandrakes therefore the Lord hearkened to Rachel. For though she desired them, she kept them not, but offered them in the house of the Lord, presenting them to the priest of the Most High who was at that time. When therefore I grew up, my children, I walked in uprightness of heart, and I became a husbandman for my father and my brethren. And I brought in fruits from the field according to their season. And my father blessed me, for he saw that I walked in rectitude before him. And I was not a busybody in my doings, nor envious and malicious against my neighbor. I never slandered anyone, nor did I censure the life of any man, walking as I did in singleness of eye. Therefore, when I was 35 years old, I took to myself a wife, for my labor wore away my strength, and I never thought upon pleasure with women, but owing to my toil, sleep overcame me. And my father always rejoiced in my rectitude, because I offered through the priest to the Lord all first fruits, then to my father also. And the Lord increased 10,000-fold his benefits in my hands, and also Jacob, my father, knew that God aided my singleness. For on all the poor and oppressed, I bestowed the good things of the earth and the singleness of my heart. And now, hearken to me, my children, and walk in singleness of your heart, for I have seen in it all that is well-pleasing to the Lord. The single-minded man coveteth not gold, he overreacheth not his neighbor. He longeth not after manifold dainties, he delighteth not in varied apparel. He doth not desire to live a long life, but only waiteth for the will of God. And the spirits of deceit have no power against him, for he looketh not on the bondwoman, lest he should pollute his mind with corruption. There is no envy in his thoughts, no malicious person maketh his soul to pine away, nor worry with insatiable desire in his mind. For he walketh in singleness of soul, and beholdeth all things in uprightness of heart, shunning eyes made evil through the error of the world, lest he should see the perversion of any of the commandments of the Lord. Keep therefore, my children, the law of God, and get singleness, and walk in guilelessness, not playing the busybody with the business of your neighbor, but love the Lord and your neighbor, have compassion on the poor and weak. Bow down your back unto husbandry, and toil in labors in all manner of husbandry, offering gifts to the Lord with thanksgiving. For with the first fruits of the earth will the Lord bless you, even as he blessed all the saints from Abel even until now. For no other portion is given to you than of the fatness of the earth, whose fruits are raised by toil. For our father Jacob blessed me with blessings of the earth and of first fruits. And Levi and Judah were glorified by the Lord even among the sons of Jacob, for the Lord gave them an inheritance. And to Levi he gave the priesthood, and to Judah the kingdom. And do ye therefore obey them, and walk in the singleness of your father. For unto Gad hath it been given to destroy the troops that are coming upon Israel. Chapter 2. Know ye therefore, my children, that in the last times your sons will forsake singleness, and will cleave unto insatiable desire, and leaving guilelessness, will draw near to malice, and forsaking the commandments of the Lord, they will cleave unto Satan. And leaving husbandry, they will follow after their own wicked devices, and they shall be dispersed among the Gentiles, and shall serve their enemies. And do you therefore give these commands to your children, that if they sin, they may the more quickly return to the Lord, for he is merciful, and will deliver them, even to bring them back into their land. Behold, therefore, as ye see, I am 126 years old, and am not conscious of committing any sin. Except my wife, I have not known any woman. I never committed fornication by the uplifting of my eyes. I drank not wine to be led astray thereby. I coveted not any desirable thing that was my neighbor's. Guile arose not in my heart. A lie passed not through my lips. If any man were in distress, I joined my sighs with his, and I shared my bread with the poor. I wrought godliness, all my days I kept truth. I loved the Lord, likewise also every man with all my heart. So do you also these things, my children, and every spirit of Beliar shall flee from you, and no deed of wicked men shall rule over you. And every wild beast shall ye subdue, since you have with you the God of heaven and earth, and walk with men in singleness of heart. And having said these things, he commanded his sons that they should carry him up to Hebron, and bury him there in the cave with his fathers. And he stretched out his feet, and died, at a good old age, with every limb sound, and with strength unabated. He slept the eternal sleep. Chapter 6. The Testament of Zebulun, the sixth son of Jacob and Leah. A copy of the Testament of Zebulun, which he decreed for his sons in the 114th year of his life, 32 years after the death of Joseph. And he said to them, Listen to me, sons of Zebulun, heed the words of your father. I am Zebulun, a good gift to my parents. For when I was born, my father prospered exceedingly in flocks and herds, when he got his share of them by means of spotted rods. I am not aware, my children, that I have sinned in all my days, except in my mind, nor do I recall having committed a transgression, except what I did to Joseph in ignorance, because in a compact with my brothers I kept from telling my father what had been done, although I wept much in secret. I was afraid of my brothers because they had all agreed that if anyone disclosed the secret, he should be killed by the sword. Even when they wanted to kill him, I exhorted them with tears not to commit this lawless act. Simeon and Gad came upon Joseph to kill him. Falling on his face, Joseph began to say to them, Have mercy on me, my brothers. Pity the deep feelings of Jacob our father. Do not put your hands on me to pour out innocent blood, because I have not sinned against you. If I have sinned, discipline me as one trains a child, but do not lay your hand on me for the sake of our father Jacob. As he was saying these words, I was moved to pity and began to weep. My courage grew weak, and all the substance of my inner being became faint within my soul. Joseph wept, and I with him. My heart pounded. The joints of my body shook, and I could not stand. And when he saw me crying with him, while the others were coming to kill him, he rushed behind me, beseeching them. Reuben stood up and said, My brothers, let us not kill him, but let us throw him into one of those dry cisterns which our fathers dug, and in which there is no water. Accordingly, the Lord prohibited any water from rising up in them, so that Joseph's preservation might be accomplished. And the Lord did this until the time when they sold him to the Ishmaelites. I had no share in the price received for Joseph, my children. But Simeon, Gad, and our other brothers accepted the money, bought shoes for themselves, their wives, and their children. They said, We will not use the money for eating, which is the price of our brother's blood, but we will trample it underfoot in response to his having said he would rule over us. Let us see what comes of his dreams. Joseph's brothers did not want their brother to live, and the Lord removed Joseph's shoe from them. For when they arrived in Egypt, their shoes were removed by Joseph's servants before the gate, and thus they did obeisance to Joseph, in the manner of Pharaoh. Not only did they do obeisance, but they were spit upon, prostrating themselves forthwith before him, and thus they were humiliated before the Egyptians. After that the Egyptians heard all the wicked things that we had done to Joseph. After they had thrown him into the pit, they sat down and began to eat. As for me, I tasted nothing for 2 days and 2 nights, being moved with compassion for Joseph. And Judah joined me in abstaining from food. He stayed near the cistern because he was afraid that Simeon and Gad might go out and kill Joseph. When they observed that I was not eating, they assigned me to guard him until he might be sold. He remained in the cistern 3 days and 3 nights, so that when he was sold he was starving. When Reuben heard that Joseph had been sold while he was away, he tore his clothing in mourning, saying, How can I look my father in the face? He took money and ran after the merchants, but found no one, since they had left the highway and traveled by a shortcut through the region of the troglodytes. And Reuben ate no food that day. Then Dan came to him and said, Do not weep, do not mourn, for I have found what we should say to our father Jacob. Let us kill a goat's kid and dip Joseph's coat in its blood. Then we shall say, Do you recognize whether this is your son's garment? For they had taken off from Joseph his father's coat when they were about to sell him, and put on him an old garment of a slave. Simeon had the garment, and was unwilling to give it to him, preferring to cut it up with his sword, since he was burning with anger that he had not killed him. But we all rose in opposition to him and said, If you don't give it up, we shall say you alone did this evil deed in Israel. So he gave it up, and they did as Dan had stated. Now, my children, I tell you to keep the Lord's commands, show mercy to your neighbor, have compassion on all, not only human beings but even dumb animals. For these reasons the Lord blessed me, and when all my brothers were ill, I alone passed without sickness, for the Lord knows the purpose of each man. Have mercy in your inner being, my children, because whatever anyone does to his neighbor, the Lord will do to him. For the sons of my brothers were sickly and died on account of Joseph, because they did not act in mercy out of their inner compassion. But you, my sons, were preserved free from illness, as you know. When I was in Canaan catching fish by the sea for our father Jacob, many were drowned in the sea, but I survived unharmed. I was the first to make a boat to sail on the sea, because the Lord gave me understanding and wisdom concerning it. I positioned a rudder behind it, put up a sail on a straight piece of wood in the middle. In it I sailed along the shores, catching fish for my father's household until we went to Egypt. Being compassionate, I gave some of my catch to every stranger. If anyone were a traveler, or sick, or aged, I cooked the fish, prepared it well, and offered to each person according to his need, being either convivial or consoling. Therefore the Lord made my catch to be an abundance of fish, for whoever shares with his neighbor receives multifold from the Lord. I fished for 5 years, sharing with every person whom I saw, and sufficing for my father's household. Summers I fished, winters I tended the flock of my brothers. Now I will tell you what I did. I saw a man suffering from nakedness in the wintertime, and I had compassion on him. I stole a garment secretly from my own household, and gave it to the man in difficulty. You, therefore, my children, on the basis of God's caring for you, without discrimination be compassionate and merciful to all, provide for every person with a kind heart. If at any time you do not have anything to give to the one who is in need, be compassionate and merciful in your inner self. For when my hand could not find the means for contributing to a needy person, I walked with him for 7 stays, weeping. My inner being was in torment with sympathy for him. You also, my children, have compassion toward every person with mercy, in order that the Lord may be compassionate and merciful to you. In the last days, God will send his compassion on the earth, and whenever he finds compassionate mercy in that person, he will dwell. To the extent that a man has compassion on his neighbor, to that extent the Lord has mercy on him. For when we went down into Egypt, Joseph did not hold a grudge against us. When he saw me, he was moved with compassion. Whomever you see, do not harbor resentment, my children, love one another, and do not calculate the wrong done by each to his brothers. This shatters unity, scatters all kinship, and stirs up the soul. He who recalls evil receives neither compassion nor mercy. Pay heed to the streams. When they flow in the same channel they carry along stones, wood, and sand. But if they are divided into many channels, the earth swallows them, and they become unproductive. And you shall be thus if you are divided. Do not be divided into 2 heads, because everything the Lord has made has a single head. He provides 2 shoulders, 2 hands, 2 feet, but all members obey one head. In the writings of the fathers I came to know that in the last days you shall defect from the Lord, and you shall be divided in Israel, and you shall follow after 2 kings. You shall commit every abomination and worship every idol. Your enemies will take you captive, and you shall reside among the nations with all sorts of sickness and tribulation and oppression of soul. And thereafter you will remember the Lord and repent, and he will turn you around because he is merciful and compassionate. He does not bring a charge of wickedness against the sons of men, since they are flesh, and the spirits of deceit lead them astray in all their actions. And thereafter the Lord himself will arise upon you, the light of righteousness with healing and passion in his wings. He will liberate every captive of the sons of men from Satan, and every spirit of error will be trampled down. He will turn all nations to being zealous for him. And you shall see God in a human form. He whom the Lord will choose, Jerusalem is his name. You will provoke him to wrath by the wickedness of your works, and you will be rejected until the time of the end. And now, my children, do not grieve because I am dying, nor be depressed because I am leaving you. I shall rise again in your midst as a leader among your sons, And I shall be glad in the midst of my tribe, as many as keep the law of the Lord and the commandments of Zebulun their father. But the Lord shall bring down fire on the impious, and will destroy them to all generations. I am now hurrying to my rest, like my fathers. But you fear the Lord your God with all your strength all the days of your life." When he had said this, he fell into a beautiful sleep, and his sons placed him in a coffin. Later they carried him up to Hebron and buried him with his fathers. Chapter 7. The Testament of Dan, the seventh son of Jacob and Bilhah, a copy of the words of Dan, he spoke to his sons at the last of his days, in the 125th year of his life. Assembling his clan, he said, "Sons of Dan, hear my words. Give heed to what is uttered by the mouth of your father. I have made proof in my heart and in my life that truth with honest dealings is good and well-pleasing to God, while falsehood and anger are evil because they instruct mankind thoroughly in every evil. My children, I confess to you today that in my heart I rejoiced over the death of Joseph, a man who was true and good. I was glad about the sale of Joseph. His father loved him more than the rest of us. For the spirit of jealousy and pretentiousness kept saying to me, 'You too are his son.' And one of the spirits of Satan was at work within me, saying, 'Take this sword, and with it kill Joseph. Once he is dead, your father will love you.' This is the spirit of anger that persuaded me that as a leopard sucks the blood of a kid, so I should suck the blood of Joseph. But the God of Jacob our father did not allow him to fall into my hands so that I might find him alone, nor did he permit me to accomplish this lawless act, lest 2 tribes be lost from Israel. And now, my children, I am dying. And I say to you in truth that if you do not guard yourselves against the spirit of falsehood and anger, and love truth and forbearance, you will perish. There is blindness in anger, my children, and there is no angry person who can perceive the face of truth. For even if one is his father or mother, he treats them as enemies. If it is a brother, he does not recognize him. If it is a prophet of the Lord, he misunderstands. If it is a just man, he is unaware of him. If a friend, he ignores him. For the spirit of anger ensnares him in the nets of deceit, blinds his eyes literally, darkens his understanding by means of a lie, and provides him with its own peculiar perspective. By what means does it ensnare the vision? By hatred in the heart. It gives him a peculiar disposition to envy his brother. Anger is evil, my children, for it becomes the motivating force of the soul itself. That force has strange effects on the body of the angry man. It dominates his soul and provides the body with a peculiar power so that it can accomplish every lawless act. When the soul acts, it justifies whatever is done since it lacks discernment. So then whoever is angry, if he is a powerful person, has triple strength by reason of his anger, first through the power and support of his subordinates, second through his wealth, by which he can win by persuasive acts and triumph in injustice, third, he has the natural force of his own body, and through it, he accomplishes evil. But if the angry one is a weak person, his strength is twice that of nature, for anger always supports such a person in their transgression. This spirit always moves with falsehood at the right hand of Satan, in order that such deeds may be done through savagery and deception. Understand then the power of anger, that it is sensed. First it arouses by spoken word, then by actions it gives strength to the one who is aroused. By sharp losses it perturbs his mind, and thus arouses his soul with great anger. When anyone speaks against you, do not be moved to anger, and if anyone praises you as being kind, do not be elated, nor be carried away, neither by pleasure nor by shame. First it is pleasant to hear, and thus it sharpens the mind to be sensitive to some provocation, and then when anyone is aroused by anger, it makes him suppose his self-esteem is justified. If you suffer a loss, if you undergo the destruction of anything, do not become alarmed, my children, because this spirit makes one desire what is transitory, in order that he might be made angry over what he is missing. If you lose something, by your own action or otherwise, do not be sorrowful, for grief arouses anger as well as deceit. Anger and falsehood together are a double-edged evil, and work together to perturb the reason. And when the soul is continually perturbed, The Lord withdraws from it, and Satan rules it. Observe the Lord's commandments, then, my children, and keep his law. Avoid wrath and hate lying, in order that the Lord may dwell among you, and Satan may flee from you. Each of you speak truth clearly to his neighbor, and do not fall into pleasure and troublemaking, but be at peace, holding to the God of peace. Thus no conflict will overwhelm you. Throughout all your life love the Lord, and one another with a true heart. For I know that in the last days you will defect from the Lord, you will be offended at Levi, and revolt against Judah, but you will not prevail over them. An angel of the Lord guides them both, because by them Israel shall stand. To the extent that you abandon the Lord, you will live by every evil deed, committing the revolt acts of the nations, chasing after wives of lawless men, and you are motivated to all wickedness by the spirits of deceit among you. For I read in the book of Enoch the righteous that your prince is Satan, and that all the spirits of sexual promiscuity and of arrogance devote attention to the sons of Levi in the attempt to observe them closely and cause them to commit sin before the Lord. My sons will draw close to Levi, will participate with them in all manner of sins, and with the sons of Judah they will share in greed, like lions snatching what belongs to others. Accordingly, you will be led off with them into captivity. There you will receive all the plagues of Egypt and all the evils of the nations. Therefore, when you turn back to the Lord, you will receive mercy, and he will lead you into his holy place, proclaiming peace to you. And there shall arise for you from the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Levi the Lord's salvation. He will make war against Satan. He will grant the vengeance of victory as our goal. And he shall take from Satan the captives, the souls of the holy ones, and he shall turn the hearts of the disobedient ones to the Lord, and grant eternal peace to those who call upon him. And the holy ones shall refresh themselves in Eden. The righteous shall rejoice in the new Jerusalem, which shall be eternally for the glorification of God. And Jerusalem shall no longer undergo desolation, nor shall Israel be led into captivity, because the Lord will be in her midst. The Holy One of Israel will rule over them in humility and poverty, and he who trusts in him shall reign in truth in the heavens. And now hear and reverence the Lord, my children, be on guard against Satan and his spirits. Draw near to God and to the angel who intercedes for you, because he is the mediator between God and men for the peace of Israel. He shall stand in opposition to the kingdom of the enemy. Therefore the enemy is eager to trip up all who call on the Lord, because he knows that on the day in which Israel trusts, the enemy's kingdom will be brought to an end. This angel of peace will strengthen Israel, so that it will not succumb to an evil deity. But in Israel's period of lawlessness, it will be the Lord who will not depart from her, and therefore she will seek to do his will, for none of the angels is like him. His name shall be everywhere throughout Israel, and the Savior will be known among the nations. Keep love, truth, and patience. What you have heard from your father passes on to your children, so that the Father of nations may accept you, for he is true and patient, lowly and humble, exemplifying by his actions the law of God. Forsake all unrighteousness and cling to the righteousness of the law of God. And bury me near my fathers. When he had said this, he kissed them and slept an eternal sleep. And his sons buried him, and later they carried his bones to be near Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Dan prophesied to them, however, that they would go astray from God's law, that they would be estranged from their inheritance, from the race of Israel, and from the patrimony, and that is what occurred. Chapter 8. The Testament of Naphtali. The eighth son of Jacob and Bilhah, a copy of the Testament of Naphtali, which he decreed at the time of his death in the 132nd year of his life. When his sons were gathered together in the 7th month, on the 4th day of the month, and he was in good health, he gave a feast and drinking party. After he awoke early the next morning, he told them, "I am dying." But they did not believe him. And while he was blessing the Lord, he confirmed that after the previous day's feast he would die. Then he began to say to his sons, "Listen, my children, sons of Naphtali, hear your father's words. I was born from Bilhah. Rachel acted by trickery, giving Bilhah to Jacob in place of herself, and she bore me on the knees of Rachel, for which reason she called me Naphtali. Rachel loved me because I was born in her lap. While I was tender in appearance, she would kiss me and say, "May I see a brother of yours, like you, from my own womb." Thus Joseph was like me in every way, in keeping with Rachel's prayer. But my mother was Bilhah, daughter of Raphios, Deborah's brother, nurse of Rebekah. She was born the very day on which Rachel was born. Raphios was of Abraham's tribe, a Chaldean one who honored God, free and well-born, but who was taken captive and bought by Laban, who gave him Ina, his servant girl, as a wife. She bore a daughter and called her Zelpha from the name of the village in which she had been taken captive. After that she bore Bilhah, saying, "My daughter is ever eager for new things." No sooner had she been born than she hurried to start sucking. Since I was light on my feet like a deer, my father Jacob appointed me for all missions and messages, and as a deer he blessed me. For just as a potter knows the pot, how much it holds, and brings clay for it accordingly, so also the Lord forms the body in correspondence to the Spirit, and instills the Spirit corresponding to the power of the body. And from one to the other there is no discrepancy, not so much as a third of a hair, for all the creation of the Most High was according to height, measure, and standard. And just as the potter knows the use of each vessel unto what it is suited, so also the Lord knows the body to what extent it will persist in goodness, and when it will be dominated by evil. For there is no form or conception which the Lord does not know, since he created every human being according to his own image. As a person's strength, so also is his work. As is his mind, so also is his skill. As is his plan, so also is his achievement. As is his heart, so is his speech. As is his eye, so also is his sleep. As is his soul, so also is his thought, whether on the law of the Lord or on the law of Satan. As there is a distinction between light and darkness, between seeing and hearing, thus there is a distinction between man, and between woman and woman. One cannot say they are one in appearance or rank, for God made all things good in their order. The 5 senses in the head, to the head he attached the neck, in addition to the hair for the enhancement of appearance, then the heart for prudence, the belly for excretion from the stomach, the windpipe for health, the liver for anger, the gallbladder for bitterness, the spleen for laughter, the kidneys for craftiness, the loins for power, the lungs for the chest, the hips for strength, and so on. Thus, my children, you exist in accord with order for a good purpose in reverence of God. Do nothing in a disorderly manner, arrogantly, or at an inappropriate time. If you tell the eye to hear, it cannot, so you are unable to perform the works of light while you are in darkness. Do not strive to corrupt your actions through avarice, or to beguile your souls by empty phrases, because those who are silent in purity of heart will be able to hold fast God's will and to shunt aside the will of Satan. Sun, moon, and stars do not alter their order. Thus you should not alter the law of God by the disorder of your actions. The nations, because they wandered astray and forsook the Lord, have changed the order, and have devoted themselves to stones and sticks, patterning themselves after wandering spirits. But you, my children, shall not be like that. In the firmament, in the earth, and in the sea, in all the products of his workmanship discern the Lord who made all things, so that you do not become like Sodom, which departed from the order of nature. Likewise the watchers departed from nature's order. The Lord pronounced a curse on them at the flood. On their account he ordered that the earth be without dweller or produce. I say these things, my children, because I have read in the writing of holy Enoch that you also will stray from the Lord, living in accord with every wickedness of the nations and committing every lawlessness of Sodom. The Lord will impose captivity upon you. You shall serve your enemies there, and you will be engulfed in hardship and difficulty until the Lord will wear you all out. And after you have been decimated and reduced in number, you will return and acknowledge the Lord your God. And it shall happen that when they come into the land of their fathers, they will again neglect the Lord and act impiously, and the Lord will disperse them over the face of the whole earth, until the mercy of the Lord comes, a man who effects righteousness, and he will work mercy on all who are far and near. In the 40th year of my life, I saw on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem that the sun and the moon stood still. And behold, Isaac, my father's father, was saying to us, "Run forth, seize them, each according to his capacity. To the one who grasps them will the sun and the moon belong." All of them ran, but Levi seized the sun, and Judah, outstripping the others, grasped the moon. Thus they were exalted above others. Levi became like the sun. A certain young man gave him 12 date palms. And Judah became luminous like the moon, and 12 rays were under his feet. Then running toward the others, Levi and Judah seized them. And behold, there was a bull on the earth with 2 great horns and an eagle's wing on his back. They tried to lay hold of him, but were unable. But Joseph overtook them and seized him and went up with him into the heights. And I looked, since I was there, and behold, a sacred writing appeared to us, which said that Assyrians, Medes, Persians, Elamites, Jalachians, Chaldeans, and Syrians shall obtain a share in the 12 staffs of Israel through captivity. And again, after the 7 months, I saw our father Jacob standing by the sea of Jamnia, and we, his sons, were with him. And behold, a ship came sailing past full of dried fish, without a sailor or pilot. Inscribed on it was the ship of Jacob. So our father said to us, "Get into the boat." As we boarded it, a violent tempest arose, a great windstorm, and our father, who had been holding us on course, was snatched away from us. After being tossed by the storm, the boat was filled with water and carried along on the waves until it broke apart. Joseph escaped in a like boat while we were scattered about on 10 planks. Levi and Judah were on the same one. Thus we were dispersed, even to the outer limits. Levi, putting on sackcloth, prayed to the Lord on behalf of all of us. When the storm ceased, the ship reached the land as though at peace. Then Jacob our father approached, and we all rejoiced with one accord. These 2 dreams I recounted to my father, and he replied, "These things must be fulfilled at their appropriate time, once Israel has endured many things." Then my father said, "I believe that Joseph is alive, for I continually see that the Lord includes him in the number with you." And he kept saying tearfully, "You live, Joseph, my son, and I do not see you, nor do you behold Jacob who begot you." He made me shed tears with these words of his. I was burning inwardly with compassion to tell him that Joseph had been sold, but I was afraid of my brothers. "Behold, my children, I have shown you the last times all things that will happen in Israel. Command your children that they be in unity with Levi and Judah, for through Judah will salvation arise for Israel, and in him will Jacob be blessed. Through his kingly power God will appear, dwelling among men on the earth, to save the race of Israel, and to assemble the righteous from among the nations. If you achieve the good, my children, men and angels will bless you, and God will be glorified through you among the nations. The devil will flee from you, wild animals will be afraid of you, and the angels will stand by you. Just as anyone who rears a child well is held in good esteem, so also there will be a virtuous recollection on the part of God for your good work. The one who does not do good, men and angels will curse, and God will be dishonored among the nations because of him. The devil will inhabit him as his own instrument. Every wild animal will dominate him, and the Lord will hate him. And there are the 2 commandments. Unless they are performed in proper sequence, they leave one open to the greatest sin. It is the same with the other commandments. So be wise in the Lord and discerning, knowing the order of his commandments, what is ordained for every act, so that the Lord will love you. He gave them many similar instructions, urging them to transfer his bones to Hebron and bury him with his fathers. He ate and drank in soulful glee, covered his face, and died. His sons acted in accord with the things commanded by their father Naphtali. Chapter 9. The Testament of Gad. The 9th son of Jacob and Zilpah, a copy of the Testament of Gad, concerning what he said to his sons in the 127th year of his life, saying, I was Jacob's 9th son, among the shepherds. I was brave. I guarded the flock at night, and when the lion came, the wolf, the leopard, the bear, or any other wild animal attacked the flock, I pursued it, seized it by the foot with my hand, crushed and blinded it, and hurled it a distance of 1,200 feet. Now Joseph was tending the flocks with me for about 30 days, and since he was delicate, he became faint from the heat, and went back to Hebron to his father. He made Joseph lie down close to him because he loved him. And Joseph said to his father, "The sons of Zilpah and Bilhah are killing the best animals and eating them against the advice of Judah and Reuben." He saw that I had set free a lamb from the mouth of a bear, which I vended, but that I had killed the lamb when I was saddened to see that it was too weak to live, and we had eaten it. This he told our father. On this matter I bore a grudge against Joseph until the day he was sold into Egypt. The spirit of hatred was in me, because we had eaten the newborn of the flocks without Judah. And whatever Joseph told our father, he believed him. I now confess my sin, children, that frequently I wanted to kill him. To the depth of my soul I hated him, and any inner feeling of mercy toward him was completely absent. Because of his dreams, my hatred toward him increased, and I wanted to gobble him from among the living as an ox gobbles up grass from the ground. For this reason Judah and I sold him to the Ishmaelites for 30 pieces of gold. We hid 10 pieces, and showed only the 20 to our brothers. Thus it was through Bede that our plot to kill him was carried out. But the God of my fathers rescued him from my hands, so that I might not perform a lawless deed in Israel. And now, children, listen to the words of truth, to perform justice, and every law of the Most High, not to be led astray by the spirit of hatred, because it is evil beyond all human deeds. Whatever anyone does, he who hates is revolted. If he reverences the Lord and hopes for good things, the hater has no love for him. The hater disparages truth, envies the successful person, relishes slander, loves arrogance, because hatred blinds his soul. It was in this way that I regarded Joseph. Beware, my children, of those who hate, because it leads to lawlessness against the Lord himself. Hatred does not want to hear repeated his commands concerning love of neighbor, and thus it sins against God. For if a brother makes a false step, immediately it wants to spread the tale to everyone, and is eager to have him condemned for it, punished, and executed. If the hater is a slave, he conspires against his master, and whenever difficulty arises, it plots how he might be killed. Hatred collaborates with envy. When it sees or hears about the prosperity of those who do well, it is perpetually peevish. Just as love wants to bring the dead back to life, and to recall those under sentence of death, so hate wants to kill the living, and does not wish to preserve alive those who have committed the slightest sin. For among all men, the spirit of hatred works by Satan through human frailty for the death of mankind, but the spirit of love works by the law of God through forbearance for the salvation of mankind. Hatred is evil, since it continually consorts with lying, speaking against the truth. It makes small things big, turns light into darkness, says that the sweet is bitter, teaches slander, conflict, violence, and all manner of greed. It fills the heart with diabolical venom. I tell you this, my children, from experience, so that you might escape hatred and cling to love of the Lord. Righteousness expels hatred, humility kills envy. For the person who is just and humble is ashamed to commit an injustice, not because someone else will pass judgment on him, but out of his own heart, because the Lord considers his inner deliberations. He will not denounce a fellow man, since reverence of the Most High overcomes hatred. Being concerned not to arouse the Lord's anger, he is completely unwilling to wrong anyone, even in his thoughts. I understood this at the last, after I had repented concerning Joseph. For according to God's truth, repentance destroys disobedience, puts darkness to flight, illuminates the vision, furnishes knowledge for the soul, and guides the deliberative powers to salvation. What it has not learned from human agency, it understands through repentance. For God brought on me a disease of the liver, and if it had not been for the prayers of Jacob my father, he would shortly have summoned from me my spirit. For by whatever human capacity anyone transgresses, by that he is also chastised. Since my anger was merciless in opposition to Joseph, through this anger of mine I suffered mercilessly, and was brought under judgment for 11 months, as long as I had had it in for Joseph, until he was sold. Now, my children, each of you love his brother. Drive hatred out of your hearts. Love one another in deed and word and inward thoughts. For when I stood before my father, I would speak peaceably about Joseph. But when I went out, The spirit of hatred darkened my mind and aroused my soul to kill him. Love one another from the heart, therefore, and if anyone sins against you, speak to him in peace. Expel the venom of hatred, and do not harbor deceit in your heart. If anyone confesses and repents, forgive him. If anyone denies his guilt, do not be contentious with him, otherwise he may start cursing, and you would be sinning doubly. In a dispute, do not let an outsider hear your secrets, since out of hatred for you he may become your enemy, and commit a great sin against you. He may talk to you frequently but treacherously, or be much concerned with you, but for an evil end, having absorbed from you the venom. Even if he denies it and acts disgracefully out of a sense of guilt, be quiet and do not become upset. For he who denies will repent and avoid offending you again. Indeed, he will honor you, will respect you, and be at peace. But even if he is devoid of shame and persists in his wickedness, forgive him from the heart and leave vengeance to God. If anyone prospers more than you, do not be aggrieved, but pray for him that he may prosper completely, for this is what is precisely to your advantage. And if he becomes even more exalted, do not be envious, but remember that all humanity dies. Offer praise to the Lord who provides good and beneficial things for all mankind. Search out the Lord's judgments, and thus you shall gain an inheritance, and your mind will be at rest. If someone be rich by evil schemes, as to Esau father's brother, do not jealous. Wait for the Lord to settle it. For if he takes away the things obtained by evil means, those who repent receive forgiveness, and the impenitent one receives eternal punishment. The man who is poor but free from envy, who is grateful to the Lord for everything, is richer than all, because he does not love the foolish things that are a temptation common to mankind. Drive hatred away from your souls, and love one another in uprightness of heart. Tell these things to your children as well, so that they will honor Judah and Levi, because from them the Lord will raise up a Savior for Israel. I know that at the end your children will depart from them, and will live in all manner of wickedness and evildoing and corruption in the sight of the Lord. Then, after he had been silent for a brief time, he said again to them, My children, obey your father. Bury me near my fathers. He drew up his feet and fell asleep in peace. And after 5 years they took him up and buried him in Hebron with his fathers. Chapter 10. The Testament of Asher. The 10th son of Jacob and Zilpah, a copy of the Testament of Asher, the things he spoke to his sons in the 125th year of his life. While he was still healthy, he said to them, Listen, children of Asher, to your father, and I will show you everything that is right in the sight of God. God has granted 2 ways to the sons of men, 2 mindsets, 2 lines of action, 2 models, and 2 goals. Accordingly, everything is in pairs, the one over against the other. The 2 ways are good and evil. Concerning them are 2 dispositions within our breasts that choose between them. If the soul wants to follow the good way, all of its deeds are done in righteousness, and every sin is immediately repented. Contemplating just deeds and rejecting wickedness, the soul overcomes evil and uproots sin. But if the mind is disposed toward evil, all of its deeds are wicked. Driving out the good, it accepts the evil and is overmastered by Satan, who, even when good is undertaken, presses the struggle so as to make the aim of his action into evil, since the devil's storehouse is filled with the vermin of the evil spirit. The soul, they say, may in words express good for the sake of evil, but the outcome of the action leads to evil. There is a man who has no mercy on the one who serves him in performing an evil deed. There are 2 aspects of this, but the whole is wicked. And there is a man who loves the one who does the evil, as he is himself involved in evil, so that he would choose to die in evil for the evildoer's sake. There are also 2 aspects of this, but the whole situation is evil. Although indeed love is there, yet in wickedness is evil concealed. In name it is as though it were good, but the outcome of the act is to bring evil. Someone steals, deals unjustly, robs, cheats, but yet has pity on the poor. This also has 2 aspects, but is evil as a whole. He who cheats his neighbor provokes God's wrath. He who serves falsely before the Most High, and yet has mercy on the poor, disregards the Lord who uttered the law's commands. He provokes him, and yet he alleviates the plight of the poor day laborer. He defiles the soul and takes pride in his own body. He kills many, it has pity on a few. This also has two aspects, but is evil as a whole. Someone else commits adultery and is sexually promiscuous, yet is moderate in his eating. While fasting, he is committing evil deeds. Through the power of his wealth he ravages many, and yet in spite of his excessive evil, he performs the commandments. This also has two aspects, but is evil as a whole. Such persons are hares, because although they are halfway clean, in truth they are unclean, for this is what God has said on the tablets of the commandments. But you, my children, do not be two-faced like them, one good and the other evil. Rather, cling only to goodness, because in it the Lord God is at rest, and men aspire to it. Flee from the evil tendency, destroying the devil by your good works. For those who are two-faced are not of God, but they are enslaved to their evil spirits, so that they might be pleasing to Satan and to persons like themselves. For persons who are good, who are single-minded, even though they are considered by the two-faced to be sinners, are righteous before God. For many who destroy the wicked perform two works, good and evil, but it is good as a whole, because evil is uprooted and destroyed. One person hates the man who, though merciful, is also unjust, or who is an adulterer, even though he fasts, and thus is two-faced. But his work is good as a whole, because he imitates the Lord, not accepting the seeming good as though it were the truly good. Another person does not want to see any pleasant days among the convivial, lest they disgrace the body and pollute the soul. This also has two aspects, but is good on the whole. For such persons are like gazelles and stags. In appearance they seem wild and unclean, but as a whole they are clean. They live by zeal for the Lord, abstaining from what God hates and has forbidden through his commandments, staving off evil by the good. Children, you see how in everything are two factors, one against the other, one concealed by the other. In possessions is greed, in merriment is drunkenness, in laughter is lamentation, in marriage is dissoluteness. Death is successor to life, dishonor to glory, night to day, darkness to light. But all these things lead ultimately to day, righteous actions to life, unjust actions to death, since eternal life wards off death. One cannot say truth is a lie, nor a righteous act is unjust, because all truth is subject ultimately to the light, just as all things are subject ultimately to God. I have demonstrated all these things in my life, and have not strayed from the Lord's truth. I have searched out the commandments of the Most High, and lived them according to my strength. You also, my children, give attention to the Lord's command, pursuing the truth with singleness of mind. The two-faced are doubly punished, because they both practice evil and approve of others who practice it. They imitate the spirits of error and join in the struggle against mankind. You therefore, my children, keep the law of the Lord. Do not pay attention to evil as to good, but have regard for what is really good, and keep it thoroughly in all the Lord's commandments, taking it as your way of life and finding rest in it. For the ultimate end of human beings displays their righteousness, since they are made known to the angels of the Lord and of Satan. For when the evil soul departs, it is harassed by the evil spirit which it served through its desires and evil works. But if anyone is peaceful with joy, he comes to know the angel of peace and enters eternal life. Do not become like Sodom, which did not recognize the Lord's angels and perished forever. For I know that you will sin and be delivered into the hands of your enemies. Your land shall be made desolate, and your sanctuary wholly polluted. You will be scattered to the four corners of the earth. In the dispersion you shall be regarded as worthless, like useless water, until such time as the Most High visits the earth, crushing the dragon's head in the water. He will save Israel and all the nations. Tell these things, my children, to your children, so that they will not disobey him. For I know that you will be thoroughly disobedient, that you will be thoroughly irreligious, heeding not God's law but human commandments, being corrupted by evil. For this reason you will be scattered like Dan and Gad, my brothers. You shall not know your own lands, tribe, or language. But he will gather you in truth through his compassion, and on account of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After he had said these things, he gave instructions, saying, Bury me in Hebron. And he died, having fallen into a beautiful sleep, and his sons did as he commanded them. They took him up to Hebron and buried him with his fathers. The copy of the testament of Joseph. Chapter 1. When he was about to die, he called his sons and his brethren together, and said to them, My brethren and my children, hearken to Joseph the beloved of Israel. Give ear, my sons, unto your father. I have seen in my life envy and death, yet I went not astray, but persevered in the truth of the Lord. These my brethren hated me, but the Lord loved me. They wished to slay me, but the God of my fathers guarded me. They let me down into a pit, and the Most High brought me up again. I was sold into slavery, and the Lord of all made me free. I was taken into captivity, and his strong hand succored me. I was beset with hunger, and the Lord himself nourished me. I was alone, and God comforted me. I was sick, and the Lord visited me. I was in prison, and my God showed favor unto me. In bonds, and he released me. Slandered, and he pleaded my cause. Bitterly spoken against by the Egyptians, and he delivered me. Envied by my fellow slaves, and he exalted me. And this chief captain of Pharaoh entrusted to me his house. And I struggled against a shameless woman, urging me to transgress with her. But the God of Israel, my father, delivered me from the burning flame. I was cast into prison, I was beaten, I was mocked, but the Lord granted me to find mercy in the sight of the keeper of the prison. For the Lord doth not forsake them that fear him, neither in darkness, nor in bonds, nor in tribulations, nor in necessities. For God is not put to shame as a man, nor as the Son of Man is he afraid, nor as one that is earthborn is he weak or affrighted. But in all those things doth he give protection, and in divers ways doth he comfort, though for a little space he departeth to try the inclination of the soul. In 10 temptations he showed me approved, and in all of them I endured, for endurance is a mighty charm, and patience giveth many good things. How often did the Egyptian woman threaten me with death? How often did she give me over to punishment, and then call me back and threaten me? And when I was unwilling to company with her, she said to me, Thou shalt be lord of me, and all that is in my house, if thou wilt give thyself unto me, and thou shalt be as our master. But I remembered the words of my father, and going into my chamber, I wept and prayed unto the Lord. And I fasted in those 7 years. And I appeared to the Egyptians as one living delicately, for they that fast for God's sake receive beauty of face. And if my Lord were away from home, I drank no wine, nor for 3 days did I take my food, but I gave it to the poor and sick. And I sought the Lord early, and I wept for the Egyptian woman of Memphis, for very unceasingly did she trouble me. For also at night she came to me under pretense of visiting me. And because she had no male child, she pretended to regard me as a son. And for a time she embraced me as a son, and I knew it not. But later she sought to draw me into fornication. And when I perceived it, I sorrowed unto death. And when she had gone out, I came to myself, and lamented for her many days, because I recognized her guile and her deceit. And I declared unto her the words of the Most High, if haply she would turn from her evil lust. Often therefore did she flatter me with words as a holy man, and guilefully in her talk praise my chastity before her husband, while desiring to ensnare me when we were alone. For she lauded me openly as chaste, and in secret she said unto me, Fear not my husband, for he is persuaded concerning my chastity, for even should one tell him concerning us, he would not believe. Owing to all these things I lay upon the ground, and besought God that the Lord would deliver me from her deceit. And when she had prevailed nothing thereby, she came again to me under the plea of instruction, that she might learn the word of God. And she said unto me, If thou willest that I should leave my idols, lie with me, and I will persuade my husband to depart from his idols, and we will walk in the law by thy Lord. And I said unto her, The Lord willeth not, that those who reverence him should be in uncleanness, nor doth he take pleasure in them that commit adultery, but in those that approach him with a pure heart and undefiled lips. But she hid her peace, longing to accomplish her evil desire. And I gave myself yet more to fasting and prayer, that the Lord might deliver me from her. And again, at another time she said unto me, If thou wilt not commit adultery, I will kill my husband by poison, and take thee to be my husband. I therefore, when I heard this, rent my garments, and said unto her, Woman, reverence God, and do not this evil deed, lest thou be destroyed. For know indeed that I will declare this thy device unto all men. She therefore, being afraid, besought that I would not declare this device. And she departed, soothing me with gifts, and sending to me every delight of the sons of men. And afterward she sent me food mingled with enchantments. And when the eunuch who brought it came, I looked up and beheld a terrible man giving me with the dish a sword, and I perceived that her scheme was to beguile me. And when he had gone out, I wept, nor did I taste that or any other of her food. So then after one day she came to me and observed the food, and said unto me, Why is it that thou hast not eaten of the food? And I said unto her, It is because thou hast filled it with deadly enchantments. And how saidst thou, I come not near to idols, but to the Lord alone? Now therefore know that the God of my father hath revealed unto me by his angel thy wickedness, and I have kept it to convict thee, if haply thou mayst see and repent. But that thou mayst learn that the wickedness of the ungodly hath no power over them that worship God with chastity, behold, I will take of it, and eat before thee. And having so said, I prayed thus, The God of my fathers and the angel of Abraham, be with me, and ate. And when she saw this, she fell upon her face at my feet, weeping, and I raised her up and admonished her, and she promised to do this iniquity no more. But her heart was still set upon evil, and she looked around how to ensnare me. And sighing deeply, she became downcast, though she was not sick. And when her husband saw her, he said unto her, Why is thy countenance fallen? And she said unto him, I have a pain at my heart, and the groanings of my spirit oppress me. And so he comforted her who was not sick. Then, accordingly seizing an opportunity, she rushed unto me while her husband was yet without, and said unto me, I will hang myself, or cast myself over a cliff, if thou wilt not lie with me. And when I saw the spirit of Beliar was troubling her, I prayed unto the Lord, and said unto her, Why, wretched woman, art thou troubled and disturbed, blinded through sins? Remember that if thou kill thyself, Asteho, the concubine of thy husband, thy rival, will beat thy children, and thou wilt destroy thy memorial from off the earth. And she said unto me, Lo, then thou lovest me? Let this suffice me. Only strive for my life and my children, and I expect that I shall enjoy my desire also. But she knew not that because of my Lord I spake thus, and not because of her. For if a man hath fallen before the passion of a wicked desire, and become enslaved by it, even as she, whatever good thing he may hear with regard to that passion, he receiveth it with a view to his wicked desire. I declare therefore unto you, my children, that it was about the 6th hour when she departed from me, and I knelt before the Lord all day and all the night, and about dawn I rose up, weeping the while and praying for a release from her. At last then she laid hold of my garments, forcibly dragging me to have connection with her. When, therefore, I saw that in her madness she was holding fast to my garment, I left it behind, and fled away naked. And holding fast to the garment, she falsely accused me, and when her husband came, he cast me into prison in his house. And on the morrow he scourged me, and sent me into Pharaoh's prison. And when I was in bonds, the Egyptian woman was oppressed with grief. And she came and heard how I gave thanks unto the Lord, and sang praises of Ode of Darkness, and with glad voice rejoiced, glorifying my God that I was delivered from the lustful desire of the Egyptian woman. And often hath she sent unto me, saying, Consent to fulfill my desire, and I will release thee from thy bonds, and I will free thee from the darkness. And not even in thought did I incline unto her. For God loveth him who in a den of wickedness combines fasting with chastity, rather than the man who in king's chambers combines luxury with license. And if a man liveth in chastity, and desireth also glory, and the Most High knoweth that it is expedient for him, he bestoweth this also upon me. How often, though she were sick, did she come down to me at unlooked for times, and listen to my voice as I prayed. And when I heard her groanings, I held my peace. For when I was in her house, she was wont to bare her arms and breasts and legs, that I might lie with her. For she was very beautiful, splendidly adorned, in order to beguile me. And the Lord guarded me from her devices. Chapter 2. Ye see therefore, my children, how great things patience worketh, and prayer with fasting. So ye too, if ye follow after chastity and purity with patience and prayer, with fasting and humility of heart, the Lord will dwell among you, because he loveth chastity. and wheresoever the Most High dwelleth, even though envy, or slavery, or slander befalleth a man, the Lord who dwelleth in him, for the sake of his chastity, not only delivereth him from evil, but also exalteth him even as me. For in every way the man is lifted up, whether in deed, or in word, or in thought. My brethren knew how my father loved me, and yet I did not exalt myself in my mind. Although I was a child, I had the fear of God in my heart, for I knew that all things would pass away. And I did not raise myself against them with evil intent, but I honored my brethren, and out of respect for them, even when I was being sold, I refrained from telling the Ishmaelites that I was a son of Jacob, a great man and a mighty. Do ye also, my children, have the fear of God in all your works before your eyes, and honor your brethren, for every one who doeth the law of the Lord shall be loved by him. And when I came to the Indocalpati with the Ishmaelites, they asked me, saying, Art thou a slave? And I said that I was a homeborn slave, that I might not put my brethren to shame. And the eldest of them said unto me, Thou art not a slave, for even thy appearance doth make it manifest. But I said that I was their slave. Now when we came into Egypt, they strove concerning me, which of them should buy me and take me. Therefore it seemed good to all that I should remain in Egypt with the merchant of their trade, until they should return bringing merchandise. And the Lord gave me favor in the eyes of the merchant, and he entrusted unto me his house. And God blessed him by my means, and increased him in gold and silver and in household servants. And I was with him 3 months and 5 days. And about that time the Memphian woman, the wife of Pentephorus, came down in a chariot with great pomp, because she had heard from her eunuchs concerning me. And she told her husband that the merchant had become rich by means of a young Hebrew, and they say that he had assuredly been stolen out of the land of Canaan. Now therefore render justice unto him, and take away the youth to thy house. So shall the God of the Hebrews bless thee, for grace from heaven is upon him. And Pentephorus was persuaded by her words, and commanded the merchant to be brought, and said unto him, What is this that I hear concerning thee, that thou stealest persons out of a land of Canaan, and sellest them for slaves? But the merchant fell at his feet, and besought him, saying, I beseech thee, my lord, I know not what thou sayest. And Pentephorus said unto him, Whence then is the Hebrew slave? And he said, The Ishmaelites entrusted him unto me until they should return. But he believed him not, but commanded him to be stripped and beaten. And when he persisted in this statement, Pentephorus said, Let the youth be brought. And when I was brought in, I did obeisance to Pentephorus, for he was third in rank of the officers of Pharaoh. And he took me apart from him, and said unto me, Art thou a slave or free? And I said, A slave. And he said, Whose? And I said, The Ishmaelites. And he said, How didst thou become their slave? And I said, They bought me out of the land of Canaan. And he said unto me, Truly thou liest. And straightway he commanded me to be stripped and beaten. Now the Memphian woman was looking through a window at me while I was being beaten, for her house was near, and she sent unto him, saying, Thy judgment is unjust, for thou dost punish a free man who hath been stolen, as though he were a transgressor. And when I made no change in my statement, though I was beaten, he ordered me to be imprisoned until, he said, the owners of the boy should come. And the woman said unto her husband, Wherefore dost thou detain the captive and well-born lad in bonds, who ought rather to be set at liberty, and be waited upon? For she wished to see me out of a desire of sin, but I was ignorant concerning all these things. And he said to her, It is not the custom of the Egyptians to take that which belongeth to others before proof is given. This therefore he said concerning the merchant, but as for the lad, he must be imprisoned. Now after 24 days came the Ishmaelites, for they had heard that Jacob my father was mourning much concerning me. And they came and said unto me, How is it that thou saidst that thou wast a slave? And lo, we have learnt that thou art the son of a mighty man in the land of Canaan, and thy father still mourneth for thee in sackcloth and ashes. When I heard this, my bowels were dissolved, and my heart melted, and I desired greatly to weep, but I restrained myself, that I should not put my brethren to shame. And I said unto them, I know not, I am a slave. Then therefore they took counsel to sell me, that I should not be found in their hands, for they feared my father, lest he should come and execute upon them a grievous vengeance. For they had heard that he was mighty with God and with men. Then said the merchant unto them, Release me from the judgment of Pentephri. And they came and requested me, saying, Say that thou wast bought by us with money, and he will set us free." Now the Memphian woman said to her husband, "Buy the youth, for I hear," said she, "that they are selling him." And straightway she sent a eunuch to the Ishmaelites, and asked them to sell me. But since the eunuch would not agree to buy me at their price, he returned, having made try them. And he made known to his mistress that they asked a large price for their slave. And she sent another eunuch, saying, "Even though they demand 2 minas, give them. Do not spare the gold, only buy the boy, and bring him to me." The eunuch therefore went and gave them 80 pieces of gold, and he received me. But to the Egyptian woman he said, "I have given 100. And though I knew this, I held my peace, lest the eunuch should be put to shame. Ye see therefore, my children, what great things I endured, that I should not put my brethren to shame. Do ye also, therefore, love another, and with long suffering hide ye one another's faults. For God delighteth in the unity of brethren, and in the purpose of a heart that takes pleasure in love. And when my brethren came into Egypt, they learnt that I had returned their money unto them, and upbraided them not, and comforted them. And after the death of Jacob my father I loved them more abundantly, and all things whatsoever he commanded I did very abundantly for them. And I suffered them not to be afflicted in the smallest matter, and all that was in my hand I gave unto them. And their children were my children, and my children as their servants, and their life was my life, and all their suffering was my suffering, and all their sickness was my infirmity. My land was their land, and their counsel my counsel. And I exalted not myself among them in arrogance because of my worldly glory, but I was among them as one of the least. If ye also therefore walk in the commandments of the Lord, my children, he will exalt you there, and will bless you with good things forever and ever. And if anyone seeketh to do evil unto you, do well unto him, and pray for him, and ye shall be redeemed of the Lord from all evil. For behold, ye see that out of my humility and long suffering I took unto wife the daughter of the priest of Heliopolis. And 100 talents of gold were given me with her, and the Lord made them to serve me. And he gave me also beauty as a flower beyond the beautiful ones of Israel, and he preserved me unto old age in strength and in beauty, because I was like in all things to Jacob. And hear ye, my children, also the vision which I saw. There were 12 hearts feeding, and the 9 were first dispersed over all the earth, and likewise also the 3. And I saw that from Judah was born a virgin wearing a linen garment, and from her was born a lamb, without spot, and on his left hand there was as it were a lion, and all the beasts rushed against him, and the lamb overcame them, and destroyed them, and trod them under foot. And because of him the angels and men rejoiced, and all the land. And these things shall come to pass in their season, in the last days. Do ye therefore, my children, observe the commandments of the Lord, and honor Levi and Judah, for from them shall arise unto you the Lamb of God, who taketh away the sin of the world, one who saveth all the Gentiles in Israel. For his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, which shall not pass away, but my kingdom among you shall come to an end as a watcher's hammock, which after the summer disappeareth. For I know that after my death the Egyptians will afflict you, but God will avenge you, and will bring you into that which he promised to your fathers. But ye shall carry up my bones with you, for when my bones are being taken up thither, the Lord shall be with you in light, and Beliar shall be in darkness with the Egyptians. And carry ye up Asenath your mother to Hippodrome, and near Rachel your mother bury her. And when he had said these things, he stretched out his feet, and died at a good old age. And all Israel mourned for him, and all Egypt with a great mourning. And when the children of Israel went out of Egypt, they took with them the bones of Joseph, and they buried him in Hebron his father's, and the years of his life were 110 years. Chapter 12. The Testament of Benjamin. The 12th son of Jacob, and Rachel a copy of the words of Benjamin, which he testified to his sons, having lived 125 years. He kissed them and said, Just as Isaac was born to Abraham in his old age, so I was born to Jacob. Since Rachel my mother died as she was bearing me, I had no milk from her, but was nursed instead by Bilhah, her maidservant. For after Rachel bore Joseph, she was sterile for 12 years. She prayed to the Lord with fasting, and conceived and gave birth to me. My father loved Rachel exceedingly, and prayed that he might see 2 sons born from her. For this reason I was called Benjamin, that is, son of days. When I came to Joseph in Egypt, and my brother recognized me, he said, "What did they say to my father when they sold me?" And I replied to him, "They spattered your shirt with blood and sent it to him and said, 'Do you know if this shirt belongs to your son?' And Joseph said to me, 'Yes, brother.' When they stripped off my shirt and gave me to the Ishmaelites, they gave me a loincloth, beat me, and told me to run. One of them who had whipped me was met by a lion and it ate him. So his partners were terrified and kept me under a looser rein. Now, my children, love the Lord God of heaven and earth. Keep his commandments. Pattern your life after the good and pious man Joseph. Let your thoughts incline to the good, as you know to be so with me, because he who has the right set of mind sees everything rightly. Reverence the Lord and love your neighbor. Even if the spirits of Satan seek to derange you with all sorts of wicked oppression, they will not dominate you, any more than they dominated Joseph, my brother. How many men wanted to destroy him, and God looked out for him. For the person who reverences God and loves his neighbor cannot be plagued by the spirit of Satan, since he is sheltered by the reverence of God. Neither man's schemes, nor those of animals can prevail over him, for he is aided in living by this, by the love which he has toward his neighbor. Joseph also urged our father to pray for his brothers, that the Lord would not hold them accountable for their sin, which they so wickedly committed against him. And Jacob cried out, "O noble child, you have crushed the inner feelings of Jacob, your father." He embraced him and kept kissing him for 2 hours, saying, "In you will be fulfilled the heavenly prophecy which says that the spotless one will be defiled by lawless men, and the sinless one will die for the sake of impious men." See then, my children, what is the goal of the good man? Be imitators of him in his goodness because of his compassion, in order that you may wear crowns of glory. For a good man does not have a blind eye, but he is merciful to all, even though they may be sinners, and even if people plot against him for evil ends. By doing good this man conquers evil, being watched over by God. He loves those who wrong him as he loves his own life. If anyone glorifies himself, he holds no envy. If anyone becomes rich, he is not jealous. If anyone is brave, he praises him. He loves the moderate person. He shows mercy to the impoverished. To the ill he shows compassion. He fears God. He loves the person who has the gift of a good spirit as he loves his own life. If your mind is set toward good, even evil men will be at peace with you. The dissolute will respect you and will turn back to the good. The greedy will not only abstain from their passion, but will give to the oppressed the things which they covetously hold. If you continue to do good, even the unclean spirits will flee from you, and wild animals will fear you. For where someone has within himself respect for good works and has light in the understanding, darkness will slink away from that person. For if anyone wantonly attacks a pious man, he repents, since the pious man shows mercy to the one who abused him, and maintains silence. And if anyone betrays a righteous man, the righteous man prays. Even though for a brief time he may be humbled, later he will appear far more illustrious, as happened with Joseph, my brother. The deliberations of the good man are not in the control of the deceitful spirit Satan, for the angel of peace guides his life. For he does not look with passionate longing at corruptible things, nor does he accumulate wealth out of love for pleasure. He does not find delight in pleasure, nor does he grieve his neighbor, nor does he stuff himself with delicacies, nor is he led astray by visual excitement. The Lord is his lot. The good set of mind does not receive glory or dishonor from men, nor does it know deceit or lying or conflict or abuse. For the Lord dwells in him, illumines his life, and he rejoices in everything at every appropriate time. The good set of mind does not talk from both sides of its mouth, praises and curses, abuse and honor, calm and strife, hypocrisy and truth, poverty and wealth, but it has one disposition, uncontaminated and pure toward all men. There is no duplicity in its perception or its hearing. Whatever it does, or speaks, or perceives, it knows that the Lord is watching over its life, for he cleanses his mind in order that he will not be suspected of wrongdoing either by men or by God. The works of Satan are twofold, and have in them no integrity. So I tell you, my children, flee from the evil of Satan, because he offers a sword to those who obey him. And the sword is the mother of the seven evils. It receives them through Satan. The first is moral corruption. The second is destruction. The third is oppression. The fourth is captivity. The fifth is want. The sixth is turmoil. The seventh is desolation. It is for this reason that Cain was handed over by God for 7 punishments. For in every 100th year the Lord brought upon him one plague. When he was 200 years old, suffering began, and in his 900th year he was deprived of life. For he was condemned on account of Abel his brother as a result of all his evil deeds. But Lamech was condemned by 70 times 7. Until eternity those who are like Cain in their moral corruption and hatred of brothers shall be punished with similar judgment. But you, my children, run from evil, corruption, and hatred of brothers. Cling to goodness and love. For the person with a mind that is pure with love does not look on a woman for the purpose of having sexual relations. He has no pollution in his heart, because upon him is resting the Spirit of God. For just as the sun is unpolluted, though it touches dung and slime, but dries up both and drives off the bad odor, so also the pure mind, though involved with the corruptions of earth, edifies instead and is not itself corrupted. From the words of Enoch, the righteous, I tell you that you will be sexually promiscuous like the promiscuity of the Sodomites, and will perish, with few exceptions. You shall resume your actions with loose women, and the kingdom of the Lord will not be among you, for he will take it away forthwith. But in your allotted place will be the temple of God, and the latter temple will exceed the former in glory. The 12 tribes shall be gathered there, and all the nations, until such time as the Most High shall send forth his salvation through the ministration of the unique prophet. When Joseph was in Egypt, I earnestly desired to see his appearance and the form of his face, and through my father Jacob's prayers I saw him, while I was awake during the day, just as he was, his whole appearance. After he had spoken these things to them, he said, You know then, my children, that I am dying. Do the truth, each of you to his neighbor. Keep the law of the Lord and his commandments. For I leave you these things instead of an inheritance. Give them then to your children for an eternal possession. This is what Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did. They gave us all these things as an inheritance, saying, Keep God's commandments until the Lord reveals his salvation to all the tribes. And then you will see Enoch and Seth and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob being raised up at the right hand in great joy. Then shall we also be raised, each of us over our tribe, and we shall prostrate ourselves before the heavenly King. Then all shall be changed, some destined for glory, others for dishonor. For the Lord first judges Israel for the wrong she has committed, and then he shall do the same for all the nations. Then he shall judge Israel by the chosen nations, as he tested Esau by the Midianites who loved their brothers. You therefore, my children, may your lot come to be with those who reverence the Lord. Therefore, my children, if you live in holiness, in accord with the Lord's commands, you shall again dwell with me in hope. All Israel will be gathered to the Lord. And I shall no longer be called a rapacious wolf on account of your rapine, but the Lord's worker, providing food for those who do good works. And in later times there shall rise up the beloved of the Lord, from the lineage of Judah and Levi, one who does his good pleasure by his mouth, enlightening all the nations with new knowledge. The light of knowledge will mount up in Israel for her salvation, seizing them like a wolf coming upon them, gathering the tribes. Until the consummation of the ages he shall be in the congregations of the nations, and among the rulers, like a musical air in the mouths of all. He shall be written of in sacred books, both his work and his word, and he shall be God's chosen one forever. He shall range widely among them, like my foe Jacob, saying, He shall fill up what was lacking of your trot. And when he had finished his states, he said, I command you, my children, carry my bones up out of Egypt, bury me in Hebron near my fathers. Benjamin died last of all in his 125th year, at a ripe old age, and they laid him in a coffin. And in the 91st year, after the departure of the sons of Israel for Egypt, they and their brothers took up the bones of their fathers secretly, because of the war with Canaan, and buried them in Hebron by the feet of their fathers. Then they returned from the land of Canaan, and resided in Egypt, until the day of the departure from Egypt.